What's going on, fellow A-Plusers? It is I, your host, Adam Perez, back once again with a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC, television, and movie news, streaming live for you guys over on Facebook today, as well as YouTube and Twitch for you gamers out there. We got ourselves a stacked show, full crew in the house for you guys today as we get through honorable mentions, live viewer questions, and of course, our 6 main topics for you guys today. We're going to be getting into some Wonder Woman talk as Gal Gadot is still talking about the idea that she's returning as Wonder Woman. We also got Sydney Sweeney in the news talking about her upcoming film, Madam Web, and a ton more, guys. So let's go ahead and get into this week's episode. Bringing in the whole crew today. Everybody's here. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is, in fact, Sunday evening, wherever you guys are certainly at, or Sunday afternoon, about to be evening. But hopefully, wherever you're at, you're staying cool as can be. It is hot out here in Texas, to certainly say the least, pushing like 107 today, if I'm not mistaken. It's been bananas. So hopefully, wherever you guys are at, it's nice and cool. I would love to change places with some of you guys, but we got ourselves a stacked episode for you guys here today. Really looking forward to it. But what's going on, fellas? How's everybody doing, man?
I feel a little spoiled here because living right next to kind of the ocean in San Francisco, the weather has been kind of perfect. Like it's been that perfect temperature for us. Is like warm enough to go out and enjoy the sun, but not like blistering hot or anything like that.
Yeah, man. I would love to trade places with you. You probably get that like breeze right off the beach too, probably off the ocean. And I would love that. What about you, Indy? How's the weather treating you where you're at, man?
It's like 60 and raining.
What?
Oh wow.
God, I would love to take that. I'd probably be out in the front yard right now doing like rain angels, honestly.
Nah, we haven't had a summer, so we haven't been able to do anything. It's been either raining, storming, or temperature's been cold. Like I'd rather have what you guys have. We're over here steadily getting sick, and you know what I'm saying. Everything else.
Summer, yeah, that's kind of brutal. Yeah, guys, it's fantastic to have everybody here today. We got some great topics that we're going to be breaking down for you. Really looking forward to it. Let's do some shout outs to people that are here with us today. We got Enrique Perez in the house. He said he watched Across the Spider-Verse and A Little Mermaid live action. And it's also National Power Rangers Day. It's just days away, and the start of Power Rangers 30th. Yeah, we definitely have a lot to look forward to. We got Blossom in here. She says, what happened? You having technical difficulties? Yeah, it was honestly, disclaimer for everybody, okay? We had some technical difficulties last week. Me and the girlfriend here did our best to get Spectrum to come out and do some repairs, look at the cables, get us all set up yesterday. Internet was looking great yesterday, nice and crisp this morning. It was looking fluid and flowing, and literally like 10 minutes before we went live, it's been dropping in and out connection once again. So if we have difficulties, I do apologize. If I freeze on a funny face, I apologize. But hopefully everybody else can man the ship if I'm away. Yeah, like that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we had some great reactions last week also. So yeah, I do apologize about that, but just wanted to give you guys a disclaimer if we do have some technical difficulties today. Datila is certainly in the house. Appreciate you bringing that one up, Indy, earlier. And of course, Marcelino Vasquez. And if you guys are in the live chat, do us a big favor, man. Hit that like button right away. Go ahead, support this channel. Definitely does go a long way by you doing that. And if you are watching, feel free to join in on the conversation of all these topics. We definitely would love to get your guys' perspective and view on things as well. Because again, at the end of the day, these are not just our A+ opinions. We always want to know yours. So certainly go ahead and let us know some of your thoughts in the live chat, and especially in the comment section box below after this episode wraps, because we'd love to go ahead and continue this conversation with you guys further. You got anything else to add, Stuart, before we get into honorable mentions?
No, not much. I do have to like let you know that I will have to leave a little bit early, so probably around the time when we do the live viewer
Live viewer
questions, I'll have
questions?
to dip out. But yeah.
No problem. I think I can manage. I don't think we have too many live viewer questions today, so that certainly should not be a problem. Also, guys, if you want to help out the channel monetarily, feel free to certainly go ahead and do so. We do have a super chat available for you guys if you want to go ahead and support the channel with a message that you go ahead and send in the live chat. All of that support will definitely go to working on the production of this show, getting this opportunity to cover other conventions and such, and we'll just continue to give you quality product and hopefully bring some new faces in and new content for you guys as well. So and listen, if you can't help us out monetarily, that's more than fine. You can help us out free by hitting that subscribe button, that like button, sharing these videos, and leaving comments. It certainly does all go a long way, guys. But let's go ahead and get to some honorable mentions today. Stuart, what you got on deck for us, man?
Oh, one of my favorite franchises also has made some pretty awesome video games recently, and they just announced a third game currently in the works, and that is South Park Snow Day. Looking forward to this. Very, very different from like the previous two South Park games that we've had, because the other two were, RPG video games. The first one being turn-based, the second one being more of a, I don't want to say RTS, but more of like a kind of strategy type of game. Both really good, and what worked really well about them is that they both felt like you were like part of the show essentially, because it was like all in-game. The game graphics, they looked, just like they were like hand animated, like they were straight up part of the show. So it felt like you were actually like in the show when you played it. But with this new one, they're taking a very different approach to it. It looks like it's going to be a straight up action game. I'm sure it'll still have RPG elements, but it looks like they're going for a more action approach, and that the gameplay looks like it's going to be kind of similar to Diablo. That's kind of like the vibe I got. The other thing too is the name Snow Day is, so it's basically something that I'm sure most kids who did not live in California, so not me, can kind of relate to, those being the days where, hey, no school because it's snowing too hard. Me, I grew up in California, so I never got those type of days.
Yeah, man, you're missing out. You're missing out, Stuart. I used to love those days. Those were like the best days during the wintertime, because you knew you were going to get a few of them. But yeah.
Ever out here,
Yeah.
A snow day, man, you weren't going to school for the week. Because when we get snow, we get snow. But it got to the point where like it had to be something ridiculous, like 10 inches to keep us from going to school.
Because I'm sure you guys are probably used to at least commuting in a lot of that stuff, though, right?
Bro, that walking in the snow, and then like when the wind, we had we got a locally famous rapper out here. Well, he's region, regionally based or nationwide. Rick Gilla, who one of his famous lines is how he used to how he felt the wind, so he turned around and walked backwards. You know what I'm saying? So the wind wouldn't hit your face, and then walk backwards all the way to school. Man, it was some memorable times. By the time you get this, like you thought, snowsuits, yeah, snowsuits, long johns, like we're built for that type of weather out here.
Yeah, I definitely feel you. I used to love getting our snow days out in New York and New Jersey. It was fantastic. I've never played a South Park video game before. Have you, Indy?
Yes, I play both South Park games. We actually streamed South Park, the last one. No, it wasn't Stick of Truth. No, it was Stick of Truth that we streamed. The first two with the RPG elements were actually really good RPG based games. You could have took the South Park name off of it and just had like anything be it, and it'd have been a really good RPG. But the fact that you have the comedic aspect from South Park and just those characters in that world just made those games that much better.
Yeah.
He asks, "What's up, Sean? Appreciate you throwing in your question." He says, "Is the new kid in the game?"
Yeah, you're still playing as the new kid. In fact, like one of the last lines you hear in the little teaser that they released is Cartman going, "Hey, new kid, it's a school day, or it's a snow day."
I love it. Great impression, by the way, Stuart. Also, any other honorable mentions, Stuart or Indy?
I definitely got one. I stepped away, so I don't know if you guys talk about this. Let's stay in the gaming realm, because THQ Nordic made a huge announcement that fans have been clamoring about since the release of the comic. They did a teaser trailer for, well, a reveal trailer. I say teaser because there was nothing to it. It was just candles being blown out. But THQ Nordic, which is known for being able to do games like this, you know what I'm saying, the right way, They announced a TMNT, The Last Ronin video game, 2 days ago, that already has 253,000 views just on their page, but on the Nickelodeon page, I think it's over 1 million views already. And it's literally only like 45 seconds long. You just get candles blown out until there's only one candle left. You know what I'm saying? Signifying the last turtle left. So I'm look. If pre-orders were available right now, I would have already pre-ordered the game. Even though like I'm broke, like I would take my bank account negative to pre-order that game. That's how that important that is to me. So, but it's smart to put this game out now, especially with the new spin-off series getting ready to happen, with the new turtles stepping up and April and Casey's daughter getting ready to train them using Mike's book. You know what I'm saying? And the announcement of those turtles actually using every weapon that the former turtles use. Like instead of just having singular weapons, they're using every weapon, just like Michelangelo did, being the last Ronin. So it's going to be interesting to see the cross promotion that happens between these two elements, and Nickelodeon stepping their game up. I mean, when you don't have Power Rangers anymore, you know what I'm saying, that going to Netflix, you go to the true next best thing, Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, definitely a big W for sure.
So wait, Michelangelo's the last Ronin in the game?
Oh, my bad, spoilers.
Oh no, I'm just surprised. I would have assumed it would have been like Leonardo or Raphael, you know, one of the more like serious turtles, not the goofiest out of all of them. I'm kind of curious. Like you put Michelangelo in a really dark situation where it's implied the other turtles are gone and he's the only one left. I'm really curious how much that changes a character like him.
If you haven't read that comic series, like go read it, because the reveal, everybody in the world thought it was Donatello. Right? Because the turtle stopped wearing his signature color. But when the reveal that it was Michelangelo, to think that it was the youngest turtle, that he trained himself to use his brother's weapons, you know what I'm saying? And like he's out for revenge. But at the same time, it's like his brother's spirits are talking to him. So that's going to be interesting to me if you got somebody following you around like Navi, you know what I'm saying, in The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, like just following around, saying, hey, Mikey, go this way. You know what I'm saying? Like that's gonna be interesting to me, and just the backstory, just to be able to see the comic book visualized, is gonna be crazy to me, and just see what elements they put in it. Because I'm thinking God of War. You know what I'm saying? Like a God of War style. I want a God of War style, but with a Souls, you know what I'm saying, type of difficulty. You know what I'm saying, to it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do, but Nickelodeon's been hit and miss on a lot of Turtles games lately, so let's see what happens.
This is why I love the Turtles. You can go from like Goofy, like the most recent Ninja Turtles movie that we had in theaters. Loved it. You know, super fun, silly, great movie for like, you know, the kids and everything. But then you can have a game come out like The Last Ronin, where it seems like they're going for definitely a lot darker of a tone.
Shout out to Diggs coming through from Twitch. We got a Twitch viewer today.
What?
Diggs, yeah.
Twitchy. We got a Twitch when they come in. Like
maybe I'm sorry, I'm doing like the Harlem Shake and shit. When you maybe when Last Ronin the video game comes out, maybe we'll put that on our Twitch stream. We definitely have to figure out what we're going to put on the Twitch stream. If we got gamers out there that just love to game and want to be a part of a Twitch stream or run a Twitch, listen, we have an opening for you. We literally have a Twitch account. And it's been a minute since Indy and Stewart have been able to game on there. And so, listen, if you love playing games, want to be a representative for Hero Report, we'd love to have you.
Well, if you want us to, oh my bad. If you want us to game, well, if you want me to game more and get back gaming, super chat us. That way I can buy a new camera. That's the only thing I need to be able to game, is that I need this Sony A6000 that I see for $350. That's normally like $1,500. Like help us help you bring you content.
I gotta so two things. I gotta first figure out how to set up Twitch on my PlayStation 5. I'm sure it's super simple. I just gotta look up how to do it. The other thing, I just gotta make sure I can figure out a volume that I can play at, because once Baldur's Gate 3 comes out, it's coming out on a day where I'm basically going to be taking that whole week off. So I should have a lot of time to just basically Twitch stream that game. I just got to figure out how to like set it all up. And then, you know, the best time for me to stream is at night. So I just got to figure out a volume that I can, I can do commentary at without waking up my neighbors.
Yo,
Yeah, I feel you.
I'm to the point right now where I'm just gonna start streaming Monopoly off my phone.
I mean, I'm sure somebody would watch. You might have an audience for that.
Yeah.
Great honorable mentions, guys. We do have a couple other ones real quick that I want to dive into. We did get ourselves some brand new Ahsoka posters, some character posters. I think we've highlighted this one before, as Ahsoka is set to go ahead and drop August 23rd. By the way, we will be bringing you guys weekly reviews for the Ahsoka series, so you definitely have that to look forward to when it comes to addition of new content here at the channel. But the other character posters that they wind up dropping, this is by far my favorite, Sabine, with the green lightsaber. For those of you who don't know, I am a green lightsaber enthusiast. I love me some green lightsabers. They're by far my favorite. Love seeing Anakin utilize it during the Attack of the Clones in the Coliseum. But yeah, this is a great one by Sabine here. We also got Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Hera. She's getting her own character poster here. Also, Ray Stevenson coming through as Balin. I absolutely love this poster too. I'm loving the costume design too. It just looks very like this is a medieval vibe about it. I think maybe it's just the shoulder pads and the gauntlets and stuff, but I really dig his the vibe he's giving off here. We also got Shin character as well. Getting a character poster of her own. What do you, Stuart? What do you take for, like, if you look at the backgrounds? What do you take like these like map coordinates as? Are they everywhere? They seemingly are everywhere on here. What do you think the connection is here?
I think it's going to be related to the time portal thing from Star Wars Rebels. I believe it was like season 3 and 4. The one that basically Ezra used to pull Ahsoka out of time when she was doing that battle with Darth Vader. I think that's what it's all going to be related to, and that they're looking for a way to basically change history. And that's I think what Ahsoka's gonna try to prevent.
And then we have one more from Morgan. I can't remember her full name, but we have seen her in the Mandalorian Ahsoka episode that we wind up having. So they have faced off before. I might have to go back and watch that one again. It's been a minute, but some great new character posters for this show. So I'm definitely looking forward to that season.
Did you watch the final teaser that came out yesterday?
I have not. I've watched like maybe one. I've tried to really do my best of staying away from any additional clips. I mean, I have seen like I think I've seen pieces of like a Sabine and Ahsoka training sort of thing. But I think we dropped a brief clip as well from last week on Facebook. But I haven't really seen everything that's out there. So I'm really trying to just go into this blind, but because it looks so good, I'm like, I really don't want to be spoiled.
Okay, then I won't say what's in it. There was one thing in it that I'm like, ooh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, man, I'm pumped for it. So yeah, if anything, it'll probably be me doing the reviews August 23rd, and just based off of timing, maybe we might have some special guests. Maybe Stuart might jump in. Maybe I'll even get Will Polk. I did see that you and Will did get the opportunity to do a review for Strange New Worlds season 2 finale.
Yep. It was great, especially because like at the very beginning, so there's a character in the show whose name I had completely forgotten, because she's not like a regular, she's just kind of like a guest appearance every now and then. So it was great having him to like help me with that, like at the beginning of it.
Yeah, he seems like he's a big Star Trek guy.
Oh yeah.
He absolutely loves it, and I think he also went ahead and dropped his own review also on Scene and Nerd. So check out the YouTube channel for them as well. Stuart, we also wind up getting the Continental trailer wind up dropping this past week. It was for the 3-part event. I believe there's no date on here, but I want to say it's like September 28th or something like that. I might have to double check the release date, but I believe sometime in September. So they have in fact dropped this trailer this week. Did you get a chance to check it out for yourself at all, or no?
No, I actually didn't even know it was out.
Man, this looks good. I cannot wait to see this, honestly. It definitely has the flair of like classic John Wick movies, just at least in the regards to the action, right? Like they definitely showcase some really great action in here, some fun car chases also, but they're still dealing with the concepts of assassins in here. So very well trained individuals. And so the fight scenes definitely look incredible. I'm actually a really big fan of just the aesthetics and the time period as it takes place in 1970s New York. And I honestly forgot that Mel Gibson was in here. I believe Mel Gibson is probably the owner of the Continental at this time, as Winston is sort of on the up and up. And just from the brief moments that I did see of Mel Gibson in here, man, I think he's going to crush this role. I hope that he's in this season a lot and not just kind of on and off. Because just from the brief moments I saw him in the trailer, he was pretty captivating. So I am really curious to kind of see just how this series goes. But yeah, everything looks pretty good in here, man. Looks like it's gonna be a really fun season, and it would not surprise me if this is like one of the biggest rated shows on Peacock when it drops, just based off of the John Wick, love that's out there right now. I think a lot of people are gonna flock to this 3-part event and really have a fun time with it.
Yeah, I mean, for me with the John Wick movies, one of my favorite things about it was the Continental itself. Just the idea of this being like a mutual ground where no one's allowed to like have any firearms, and it's a great way to like still have crime in your movie, but have it like under control. So I'm very curious to see what a whole series around this is going to be like.
Yeah, me too. And the guy that plays Winston definitely has some Winston like isms about him, the way that he delivers his lines, the way that he talks, and things like that. There is a scene in here though when he's like, "Is everything okay?" Somebody was like, "Is everything okay? What do you need?" And he's like, "Guns. We're gonna need more guns." Like, and I'm like, "This is a straight John Wick line." So it was kind of cool that he kind of borrowed that. So yeah, I guess we see where John Wick gets it from.
Yeah,
But yeah, if you have,
not just a John Wick line, that's straight up a Keanu Reeves line because he uses that
yeah, he
same
does it
line in
all the
the
time. That's right,
Matrix.
the Matrix too. So yeah, it's definitely a trend. It feels like. But if you guys haven't had the opportunity to check it out, and then
Oh no, I think we lost him for a brief moment. I'm going to give him a minute to come back, hopefully very soon. Or is it me that is frozen? That is the question. Oh, here we go. Nope. Yeah, it's always funny because it's like kind of random. Sometimes it'll like freeze for 5 seconds. Other times it'll freeze for like 30 seconds. Right now it looks like it's kind of going for the latter, going a little long here. If he doesn't come back in a minute, I'll just kind of move on to the first article we have, because we'll be talking about the recent news with Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman 3, and how essentially we have kind of a new thing going on where we hear one thing from Gal Gadot and now we hear something completely different from Variety. And we'll bring up whether or not we think it's that Gal Gadot was lying, giving us false hope, or whether or not it's probably just miscommunication. But I want to wait one more minute before I get into that article. Oh, Adam just dropped out. So you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and start the article without him. Shoot, I forgot how to do screen share. I apologize, everyone. Bear with me for just a moment. Boom, boom. Actually, I wonder if I could just bring up an image here. All right, cool. I'm just going to bring up the image and then I'll just read the article. So coming from Variety, so like I mentioned before, so we know that Gal Gadot had said a little bit earlier before the strike went on that apparently there was going to be a Wonder Woman 3, as far as she knew, that was going to be in development, and that James Gunn and Peter Safran was going to work on it. So according to Variety, though, despite recent comments from Gal Gadot claiming DC heads James Gunn and Peter Safran told her they would develop Wonder Woman 3 together, sources with knowledge of the situation tell Variety that it is not the case. According to the source, a third Wonder Woman film is not in development at DC Studios, nor do Gunn and Safran have plans at this time for any Wonder Woman project in the DC universe other than their previously announced Paradise Lost prequel series for HBO Max. Gal Gadot first suggested that Wonder Woman 3 might not fully be dead in an interview with comicbook.com. I love portraying Wonder Woman, she said. It's so close and dear to my heart. From what I have heard from James Gunn and Peter Safran, we're developing a Wonder Woman 3 together. The actor made a potential future for Wonder Woman 3 appear even more likely during a recent published profile by Flaunt magazine. In this interview, Gal Gadot said she was assured by Gunn and Safran that Wonder Woman 3 would be developed. The source added to Variety that nothing was ever promised to Gal Gadot regarding Wonder Woman 3, nor was any definitive discussion of Gadot's Wonder Woman continuing with the new DC universe. Gunn and Safran gave a presentation at the start of the year unveiling the first titles in their DC universe, including Superman Legacy, and they continue to be laser focused on these new films. So, Adam, I think you're back. Is that correct? Nope. Okay, never mind. He just popped into the thing right below and then just disappeared. So I assume he is still frozen. So we'll have to wait. So I'm just gonna give my thoughts on this. Hopefully he'll come back to give his thoughts on this. I don't think Gal Gadot was necessarily lying. I do think that she might have heard one thing, thought it was like a promise, but then, completely misunderstood what Gunn and Peter Safran were going for. What I think probably happened is that behind closed doors, James Gunn and Peter Safran said that the idea of a Wonder Woman 3 was a possibility, and Gal Gadot kind of, when she relayed that information to everyone, basically made it sound like it was going to be bigger, like a bigger possibility than it actually was. I don't think she was necessarily lying about it. I think personally that she was just kind of misinformed, if that makes sense. The big thing you got to look at too when it comes to this is at the time that she said this was all before the Flash movie had even come out, because this was all during the events of this was all before the events of the strike going on, which of course the strike started before the Flash movie came out. So I think with the recent bomb of the Flash movie, this could also be seen as one of the things that kind of definitively made James Gunn and Peter Safran kind of decide to drop everything from the DCEU before and want to completely start over with a fresh new slate. And I think that's I think that's something that Gal Gadot, didn't consider at the time, because at the time, I feel like we all thought that The Flash was going to do a lot better in the box office than it actually did. So, I do kind of, and there's also the fact that we still haven't gotten confirmation from James Gunn or Peter Safran on this Variety article itself. Now, the Variety article does come from a source that is supposedly very trustworthy, of course, but we still can't really say either way what is definitive and what isn't. So for all we know, this whole article technically could be a lie too. I doubt it. Like, if you want my personal opinion, I don't think the article is lying either. I personally don't think there will be a Wonder Woman 3 in development. What I think is happening is that Wonder Woman 3 was something that Peter and James Gunn were at one point open to, and Gal Gadot kind of relayed that information in a way of saying that it was confirmed, or made it sound like it was confirmed, when in actuality it was just a possibility and nothing more. But that's just what I think. There could be a little bit more to this that we'll hear about later on as Wonder Woman, the next Wonder Woman comes into development, or as we get introduced to our DC Universe Wonder Woman. But Indy, since you're back, let's get your thoughts on this. Do you think when Gal Gadot said that Wonder Woman 3 was being worked on by Peter Safran and James Gunn, do you think she was lying? She was trying to basically get the fans to rally behind her to make it happen? Or do you think it was just kind of, she was misinformed, or it was just like a miscommunication going on? What do you think? What do you think is overall happening here?
I don't think it was her lying, but I honestly do think that her saying that was more of trying to get the fans behind a push 1984. You know what I'm saying? A Wonder Woman 3 behind the James Gunn and everything like that, because I feel like we would get the Wonder Woman movie that we wanted. That the Wonder Woman 1984 wasn't a bad movie, but it wasn't the Wonder Woman movie we deserved, especially coming off the first one, coming after the Justice League and all that. I feel like the movie should have been very different. It almost felt like the Ghostbusters reboot. You know what I'm saying? Before Afterlife, with the all female cast. Wasn't a bad movie. Just would have been better if it wasn't a ghost, you know what I'm saying, a Ghostbusters movie. If it was something different, like if they decided to do like a spoof of Paranormal Activity or something like that, the movie would just been better. But because they put that Ghostbusters tag on it, that honestly made me feel like it didn't live up to the hype, kind of like 1984 did. Especially when we were waiting on the Batman movie, we were waiting on the Superman solo movie, we got our Wonder Woman movie, and it just didn't live up to the hype off of everything that was, you know what I'm saying, was happening. So I really feel like she feels like the character didn't get his just due, and and everybody I feel trusts James Gunn, whether it was from Marvel, whether it's from DC. They trust him, they know what he's gonna do. And again, like you said, after the poor reception for the Flash, I think they're kind of leery on putting one of the big four out there. You know what I'm saying right now? So after Superman, like what? But Blue Beetle could drop, do very well with barely any promotion. You know what I'm saying? And could change the tides of, you know what I'm saying, what's happening. But I think that's more of her trying to get fan support behind in order to get something done. We've seen it happen before. Actors should do that, you know what I'm saying, in order to get projects, you know what I'm saying, green light. They did it with Deadpool. The only reason we got Deadpool is because of, you know what I'm saying, the leaked, you know what I'm saying, footage and Ryan Reynolds pushing for it. So I have no issue with her doing this at all. I don't think she was lying, but I do think she was leveraging the fans in order to get something to happen.
Yeah, I think that if that's what she was going for, maybe she could have gone about it a slightly different way. But yeah, I can definitely see what you're going for. You're definitely right on the whole thing with Ryan Reynolds really pushing for Deadpool, and I do think that you know, if Gal Gadot wants to push for herself to be to continue playing Wonder Woman because she's that passionate about it, I definitely don't think it's a bad idea for her to try to, you know, get fans to, you know, voice their opinions on it, get fans to like tell James Gunn and Peter Safran that, hey, we really want to see her continue as Wonder Woman, you know. I see Adam here, but oh, can I add you to the stream? Oh, awesome.
What up, fellas? Hey. What up, fellas? I heard Indy's take. Stuart, did you give your take already?
Yeah, I pretty much kind of, to summarize it all, I just said I think it was just a miscommunication from both Gal Gadot and probably James Gunn and Peter. I don't think she was lying, and I also don't think that the article saying that Wonder Woman 3 is not in development is lying either. I think it's just kind of a miscommunication type thing, but of course, we won't know until after the writer's strike, because Gal Gadot, James Gunn, and Peter Safran are not allowed to say anything about the whole thing at the moment. So I am very curious, like, once this whole strike is over, what the overall story is going to be behind this and how it happened the way it did.
My thoughts, man, fuck Variety, man. Look, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna be honest. It's look, I usually always
give me 1 second. I'm marking the timestamp for the F-bomb.
Man, Variety, bro. Look, I usually always trust Variety. I always trust a lot of their sources. I find I find it a little bit interesting in the way and how they kind of word things from time to time. You know, for me, look, I'm gonna just say it like this. To me, Gal Gadot has look. I've read like 3 or 4 interviews of hers since like June, where this woman has talked about the idea that she has had conversations with Peter Safran and James Gunn. It is one of those things where it's just like when I read that, I mean, she's even quoting them. She even says in one of her answers to what's happening with Wonder Woman 3, she's like, let me find a post. This is from the flaunt that you guys just kind of talked about in the article. She says, I was invited to a meeting with James Gunn and Peter Safran. And what they told me, and she says, I'm quoting,
Did he freeze?
He froze.
Oh man.
Luckily this time I actually screen capped his frozen face. Oh wait. I heard him. Nope, never mind. This time I got screen capture though of his face, so I'll pull that up later.
Marcelino says, I do hope we get Wonder Woman in the DCU at some point because her role in the universe right now is vague and not existent. If we are getting a Wonder Woman 3, Wonder Girl should be in it. It's long overdue. I don't care if it's Donna Troy, Cassandra Sandsmark, Yara Floyd, or Trinity. Just give us Wonder Girl.
Yeah, at this point, it's like, if you say Wonder Girl, I'm going to be asking which one because of like how many we've gotten like now recently. But yeah, I do think, to close it out, I do think that we will get Wonder Woman in the DC universe. Whether or not it's Gal Gadot, I guess only time will tell. And, originally, I wasn't really super into the idea of her coming into the DCU, only because like with us already replacing like everyone else, it did kind of seem weird to like, have select things kind of move over. But then kind of when I was talking about it with Adam last week, he brought up kind of a cool point of how like Wonder Woman's origins has been rewritten before, and that they could totally do that within Paradise Lost and still keep Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman in that like rewritten origin, as long as they kind of make it clear basically that this isn't necessarily the same Wonder Woman from the DCEU. It's just the same actress playing Wonder Woman pretty much. So yeah, I'm open to the idea, just depending. It really all just kind of comes down to execution to me.
You mean similar to like what they did for what they should have did for Flash? When they should have replaced Ezra with Grant Gustin.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been great if they just brought in Grant Gustin. If they bring in, or if they still do, like they still have time to do this. If they want to bring in Grant Gustin to the DCEU, or not DCEU, to the DC universe to play the Flash, but not the same Flash from the CW, like a completely different version of the Flash. I'm all for that.
Yeah, and look, Adam's getting he's getting smart. Like
he's using his phone.
He don't went to the galaxy. He don't went to the galaxy. No, that's brilliant. No,
I think we have to add him because I think he's here as a guest, if I'm not mistaken.
Hey.
Oh, it's not even gonna let me tilt my camera. Come on, man.
I had that same issue the first time I tried using my phone to stream.
I think are you using a Chrome browser or what browser are you using?
I don't even know, bro. It's just I just hop running in Chrome. Yeah.
It does that sometimes. It's going to use the best camera. That's what it's going to default to the best camera.
Okay, well, I'm going to keep this up because it does. I think I might be able to get back in with my.
Whoa. I think you just
unmute the computer and leave the other one muted.
Yeah, just don't have both mics on at the same time. I think you're still muted. And now you're frozen again.
Yeah, you might just have to.
Am I really frozen?
Yeah, you might just have to rock with the silly, man. There we go.
Why is that still on?
Okay, there's some weird. I don't know what that noise is. Because normally that would only happen if you have like two mics on at the same time.
He does basically his computer and his phone.
Hold on, let me. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, is that better?
That's better.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, I was trying
to. that way you can still use to check out the articles or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know.
Yeah, let me see. Can I put? I'm trying to set my phone somewhere. Anyway, I guess I'll look at this camera then. Yeah, that's better. Sorry about that, guys.
I like the rich brown tones in that camera rather than your other one. You look very handsome right now, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'll say this:
proper
the
gentleman.
quality on that camera is actually a little like more crisp.
Yeah.
Proper gentleman over here. Yeah, look,
You were saying.
So as I was saying, there's even some Culture Crave went ahead and posted these on Twitter earlier this week, talking about like the timeline of what's been going on with this Wonder Woman 3 thing, and they bring up comments also from James Gunn back in February, where I think somebody was ask him about Gal Gadot. He does confirm that they met with her, and then he also confirms and says again, we didn't let Gal go. He also mentions Ezra's movie was already made, and Henry doesn't fit what I have for Superman. So the fact that he's kind of addressing it that way lets me know that he still has plans for her, that apparently she still kind of maybe fits into his DCU, unlike something that in which Henry Cavill didn't. I kind of feel like if they had plans on replacing her or her not coming back again as Wonder Woman, I think they probably would have pulled the trigger on that already and kind of gotten that out of the way, considering that that's what they did with Henry Cavill when they were pretty confident that, look, we're not going to use this guy anymore. And I think Ben Affleck has said a while ago that he was already kind of gone. I think it's pretty fascinating also too that the movies that we have seen when it comes to the DCU, they still have Gal Gadot in these scenes. We've heard that they've gone through all these movies, right? They've removed certain people, like Ben Affleck's Batman's been removed from certain movies also, but they're still kind of letting Wonder Woman pop up in these. I don't think we expected her in something like Shazam, but they let that fly for Fury of the Gods. And then we see her again here in the recent Flash movie. It'll be interesting if she pops back up in Blue Beetle. I don't think that she certainly will. I mean, I think they're pretty adamant that this is very much a standalone. But I would be interested to see does she even pop up in something like a Aquaman 2. My thing is, while I don't think that there is a Wonder Woman 3 happening, I am starting to believe that maybe if it's not a Wonder Woman 3, that it might be sort of a reboot or a resetting, if you will, of another maybe standalone Wonder Woman movie at some point in time. But again, I don't think they're even ready to announce that. James Gunn has been very open about the idea that the Chapter 1 God and Monsters that we've seen, there's more to this Chapter 1, right? So that hasn't even fully been unveiled yet. If I had to speculate and think, because look, I don't think Gal Gadot is gonna 3 to 4 interviews within the past 2 months continue to talk like this if there wasn't some level of credibility behind it. And I haven't seen her or anybody else or James Gunn come out and say flat out, we're not going to have Gal Gadot again as Wonder Woman. And I think those are kind of things that they're holding very close to their chest. And I do believe that while there are aspects to Variety's article that I believe, no Wonder Woman 3 is in the plans. Okay, I can definitely probably believe something of those lines. The idea of like no immediate Wonder Woman is in development, I can kind of believe that too, because I don't believe it's in development, but I do believe James Gunn promised Gal Gadot that yes, we are going to continue to use you as this particular character somewhere down the line. And so when Variety does come out in like one of their paragraphs that there's no future plans, I don't necessarily think that's the case. And look, maybe you can attribute James Gunn's sort of being quiet about not saying anything, because we all know James Gunn is like the first person to debunk something if it's not true. But I do believe that maybe because of what's going on with the strikes, he probably doesn't want to certainly put that out there. But I do think that there is some truth to the matter, despite what Variety is certainly saying. And it's just odd to me that they are that quick to kind of shut that stuff down. Because for me, look, while I usually believe Variety sources and certain things like that based off of their credibility, if one of the stars of the movie itself is actually telling me that she's had conversations with James Gunn and Peter Safran, and James Gunn has confirmed those meetings in the past, and they're wanting to keep Gal Gadot around, I'm going to believe those two rather than sources that I don't even know who they're getting these sources from. Not to say that there's an ulterior motive here by Variety, but you never know. It is Gal Gadot, so I do believe Gal Gadot is fully believes what she says. I do believe a meeting happened. I do believe promises was certainly made, and I do believe eventually, while we have Paradise Lost right now, chapter one, later half, maybe the beginnings of chapter two, I do expect a Wonder Woman Gal Gadot movie. But again, that's just me, and how I feel about what's happening right now, man. That's just my speculation. And look, this could bite me in the ass. I could be absolutely wrong, but I'm gonna believe Gal Gadot here.
The only thing I will say is I think that when it comes to James Gunn and Gal Gadot not currently commenting on it, I think that really just kind of comes down to the strike, because they're not really allowed to talk about future projects. So the one thing, I don't know if you heard me when I was mentioning this, is that I do feel like there's kind of a bigger story going on that both like James Gunn, Peter Safran, and Gal Gadot all know, and that they're all more than happy to talk about. They're just not allowed to at the moment. But I am sure that we're going to get a full idea of what the story is like once the strike is over.
Yeah, I definitely tend to agree with you there, Stu. I do think that once the strike and everything dissipates, and hopefully every party gets what they're asking for. Well, not every party, because you know the AMPTP, they definitely not going to get everything they want. But like, that's negotiations, right? There's got to be a compromise there somewhere. But I do agree. I think once that subsides, hopefully we'll get more news on this.
Agreed.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we can. You guys can wrap up this one and move on to the next one if you want.
Awesome.
I don't have any control over here. I'm controlless. I don't like this feeling. No,
are you still able to read the articles on your computer?
Yeah. Which one did I have up for next?
So the next one is Marvel directors agree that superhero fatigue is real.
Yeah. Go ahead and put up one of the images we have up there. But yeah, the next article is going to come up from Variety. As we're going to switch gears here and start talking a little bit about the MCU. For those of you who don't know, Captain Marvel 2, or The Marvels, is set to go ahead and drop this upcoming November. As of right now, nothing has certainly changed when it comes to this. But, you know, the trajectory of comic book movies lately has not been looking too good, certainly at the box office, with the exception of Guardians of the Galaxy 3 by who? None other than James Gunn himself. That's right. So James Gunn clearly has a formula that's working. The question is, can Nia DaCosta, the director for The Marvels, give us something vastly different to hopefully change the trajectory at the box office for comic book movies? As you can see here, we do have a couple of images recently that was released from Total Films, some exclusive brand new first looks. You got this one of I can't even remember her name. Zawa. You don't remember her name, Indy, by any chance, or Stuart? I don't know. No? Okay. What's the other image we got? Because I think we got a sweet one of Carol Danvers. Unless that one's not up there anyway.
No, just the only ones I can find are those two.
Okay. They StreamYard tends to do this. I had these images uploaded, and then anytime I log out of it, they remove stuff. So yeah, let's go ahead and go back to that other Captain Marvel image that you had. But Nia DaCosta was in the news this week, speaking with Variety, and they sat down to talk with her about the concept of superhero fatigue. And she says, I think superhero fatigue absolutely exists, is what Nia DaCosta says. The biggest difference from the other MCU movies to date is that the Marvels is really wacky and silly. The worlds we go to in these movies, in this movie, are worlds unlike others that you've seen in the MCU, bright worlds that you haven't seen before. And the article goes on to say the Avengers movies are these epic. This is her quote. This is Nia DaCosta also. She says, the Avenger movies are these epic conclusions to chapters of storytelling, whereas this is a team up within the narrative that we didn't necessarily expect from Marvel. It says, usually you wait for characters to show up all together in Avengers movies. We were excited to design a new team up featuring characters that women from all walks of life could relate to. Okay, you can go ahead and drop that that image. So Nia DaCosta is talking about the differences that she believes is going to hopefully make the Marvels sort of separate from other comic book movies. They also did, this article also in Variety did a good job of like speaking with other producers and directors in their ideas of, is superhero movie fatigue real? And Phil and Lord Miller, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, excuse me, did speak with Rolling Stones earlier this year, and they said, "I don't believe it's superhero fatigue. I believe it's a movie that feels like a movie I've seen a dozen times before fatigue." It says if you're using the same story structure and the same style and the same tone and same vibe as movies and shows that have come before, it doesn't matter what genre it is, it's going to be boring to people. And then you also have Phil Lord also says, and the audience in the theater can't be sustained on Easter eggs and reveals or even these big, crazy multiverse stakes. They only care about like the relationship between Rocket Raccoon and Groot. That's what he says. Again, another James Gunn movie. And then even James Gunn says, I think that there's such a thing as superhero fatigue. I think it doesn't have anything to do with superheroes. It has to do with the kinds of stories that get to be told. And if you lose your eye on the ball, which is character, you know, we love Superman, we love Batman, we love Iron Man, because they are these incredible characters that we have in our own hearts. And if it becomes just a bunch of nonsense on screen, it gets really boring. So the question is, fellas, after hearing Nia DaCosta talk about the idea that the Marvels is really wacky and silly, that you're going to see worlds that are unlike others in the MCU, bright worlds that you haven't seen before, is that going to be enough to separate the Marvels from the rest? What do you guys think?
I think that the biggest thing the Marvels has going forward is Miss Marvel herself. I think the tactic of re-airing the Miss Marvel series on ABC was a big thing to introduce people to this character, because when you talk about wacky and silly, I think it all comes from the concept of her and the relationship that she's going to have with Photon and Captain Marvel in order to break them out their shells. Because remember, Photon and Captain Marvel really aren't seeing eye to eye when we come into this movie. They haven't interacted with each other. They haven't seen each other. Photon's actually a little bit upset with Carol Danvers for not, you know what I'm saying, being at home on Earth through everything that, you know what I'm saying, that happened, because she's out in space. So I really feel like you're going to have Miss Marvel as sort of a middle person when it comes to breaking down the walls that these two has built up, when it comes to helping out, you know what I'm saying, Carol Danvers to make her to humanize her more. Because remember, one of the problems that people had with Carol Danvers is they said that she was robotic. I think it was meant for Carol Danvers to be robotic because she grew up with the, you know what I'm saying, she was with the Kree for so long that she took on their ideology, and she had to learn that she was human again. And so you're going to see her become more human when it comes to hanging around with Miss Marvel, to me, who is the most human of characters that we had in the MCU for a really long time, with her being just a high school student, you know what I'm saying, as being a superhero that gets to run around with her favorite Avenger and everything like that. So I'm looking for more of that, of the silly aspect coming from, I really feel like we're going to see majority of this movie from we're going to be living in Miss Marvel's perspective when we're coming into this movie. It's not going to come from the perspective of Photon or Captain Marvel. That we're really going to be sitting with Miss Marvel and understanding how she comes into her role of being a superhero. You know what I'm saying? Because she's going to be the one possibly that ends up saving the day and doing everything, because she's the one who's going to have to level up, because we know the levels the other two are on already.
What do you think, Stuart? You agree with him, or you want to add anything else to that?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much everything you said there, I fully agree with. I think a lot of the problem where the fatigue comes from with a lot of superhero movies is kind of they focus a lot way too much more on the action and a little less on the character. And I think that that was like one of the big setbacks in Phase 4 of Marvel. I think there are definitely exceptions to this. Like, I definitely think, when it came to the Eternals, for example, I do think that was a very character-focused movie, and I think that while the action was definitely there and it was great, it definitely wasn't what they were trying to highlight. And then I think also, when I kind of like started to notice like that they were relying too much on the, as everyone calls it, the Marvel formula, even though really I would just say it's the blockbuster formula, not necessarily Marvel. The time that I felt like they were relying too much on it was Shang-Chi, because I love that movie. And I think they got so much right about it. But when it came to kind of the climax of the movie, when they came to like that final battle, it was just, I didn't really care for it. I thought like, we got all the emotional beats that I wanted. This is just kind of like unnecessary fireworks at the very end of it that, we really didn't need to see. And all it kind of did was, kind of make us lose touch with the more human aspect of Shang-Chi. I think that everything that led up to, the confrontation with his dad and then kind of the final defeat with his dad was so perfect. I didn't think we needed him to fight a giant dragon at the very end of it. And I think that kind of made it lose touch with its more human elements. And I think that kind of happened a lot with a lot of Phase 4 Marvel movies. I really liked, with Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, for example, it kind of felt like that human touch of Doctor Strange and American Chavez was lost because they were so focused on trying to give you as many Easter eggs as they could. Ant-Man really wanted to show off the quantum world like a lot, and really wanted to show off Kang to the point where it's like the whole focus on Scott and his daughter really felt lost in the movie. So things like that. So I think that what superhero movies should go back to is they should take a little bit of a step back from the action. They have all the money they want for all these movies, and I think that that's probably the problem, is that they know they can rely on action because they can film as much of it as they want. So I think that rather than focusing on how many action scenes they could fit into a movie, they should focus on how can we make you care about these characters, and how can we make these fight scenes more impactful. Rather than trying to rely on quantity of action, they should rely on the quality of the action and do a lot less of it. That's where I think like one of the issues comes in. I'm not trying to say that's the issue of all the Marvel movies in Phase 4. I'm just saying it's like one thing I've definitely noticed, and I think Shang-Chi was the first movie that I started to notice that with.
Yeah, I definitely agree with elements of what you're saying there too, Stuart. I think that was one of my worries kind of going into this movie, right? Like when we talked about the trailer, one of the things I said was I love the concept of the gimmick, and the gimmick being like, hey, we can all switch powers now. How cool would that be to kind of see on screen and stuff, right? Like there's a fun element to it. And I guess maybe that gimmick kind of plays into what Nia DaCosta is saying here, in a sense of like it's wacky and silly. And I'm sure these ladies are going to have some really great chemistry bouncing off of each other, some really just humorous moments for sure. But I do get concerned, like wacky and silly. Like I wish that she explained a little bit more to me, because the idea of like wacky and silly, like that's not a selling point to me. Like that's not gonna make me be like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna see this movie now. Like I need a little bit more to it. Because I agree. I think there's human aspects and personal relationships, like Indy brought up, between Monica and Carol. I really want to see them sort of focus on. If Miss Marvel is the lead, I mean, that's certainly more than fine. But I just hope that there's an element of character development to these characters that really do go a long way. Because I agree with you, Stuart, right? Like it's fun to see the action and the glitz and the glamour and stuff and the wacky and silly from time to time. But, that's not really going to separate you from anything else that's really kind of come before. And if you've sort of forgotten just the human element of it, it's really gonna I really do think that the film itself is going to suffer. Look, I like Nia DaCosta as a director. I thought she did a great job with Candyman. I think I've even seen a previous film that she worked on prior to this. I can't remember if she's worked with Brie Larson. I believe she might have worked with Brie Larson one time before. You might have to IMDb that for me, Stuart. But so I the movies that I have seen her in very much relate to human relationships and connections and things like that. So for her to kind of take this movie made me think that, maybe they aren't going to just throw special effects and action sequences to the screen. I really do hope that there's an ability and a time for us in this upcoming movie to really have the strength of these characters carry the movie more than anything else. So yeah, wacky and silly, that's cool and all. I am looking forward to that, because I just the trailers alone has made this movie look really fun to me. But there's more to it than that I'm certainly going to need. So while I don't mind her comments, I do wish that there was more to it, because if that's how you're going to counter superhero fatigue, I don't necessarily think that's the answer. Now, to be honest, I will be curious to see how well this movie's going to do at the box office. Um, how do you guys think that this movie is going to do at the box office? I think we underestimated the first Captain Marvel movie, and it came in as $1 billion. Now that we've got Brie Larson coming back as Captain Marvel, this time with Miss Marvel, and I don't know what they're going to call her, Photon or whoever the case may be. Do you think that's enough to get this movie back to $1 billion, or is there, you don't believe that this movie is going to have that same gravitas as it did the first time?
But before I answer that, Marcelino said Nia DaCosta said the Marvels will follow wacky and brightful worlds, but the problem is a lot of other superhero movies use that method. Ant-Man 3, Thor 4, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Loki. You know what I'm saying, to the degree. When it comes to that, I totally get what you said. I'm gonna answer all this, at once, because it all just folds into each other. Do I feel like this movie can make $1 billion? Before the strike, I would have said yes. After the strike, not being able to do the proper promotion that you need to do, you know what I'm saying? Unless the strike ends early enough for you to be able to promote the movie properly. Especially with Amon being able to go on these talk shows, because you know what I'm saying, she's the new thing. She's the fresh face. You know what I'm saying? She's become very popular when it comes to the fan base. Look, she made that Avengers game popular, and she wasn't even the voice actor for Miss Marvel in the Avengers game. You know what I'm saying? Because that was based on Miss Marvel.
By the way, Aman Vellani is actually writing the new Miss Marvel series for Marvel Comics.
Great, she deserves to. When I think of wacky and brightful worlds, I keep going back to that Miss Marvel series. You know what I'm saying? And everything that happened in that. I go back to the first Captain Marvel movie. I go back to WandaVision. You know what I'm saying? I think how at times anything that had to deal with Monica Rambeau and WandaVision was very serious. Anything that dealt with, you know what I'm saying, Captain Marvel, whether it was Endgame, anything like that, it was always serious. I think when Nia is talking wacky and brightful, because think about how dark and dreary, you know what I'm saying, a lot of them worlds were, especially with anything that had anything to do with Carol Danvers. It was always, the world's gonna end, you know what I'm saying, we have to stop something, and it was always serious. I think when she says wacky and brightful, she's saying you're gonna get the opposite, or there's going to be other elements to which you're used to seeing these main characters in. So I think with it adding Miss Marvel, if you look at how her series was presented, I think you're just going to see more of those elements coming from her. You know what I'm saying? And there you can see it in the trailers from the way she reacts and the way she interacts with Carol Danvers and, you know what I'm saying, Monica Rambeau. You know what I'm saying? And them still trying to be serious, but having to deal with this teenager, you know what I'm saying, that really doesn't know what's going on, is fangirling, you know what I'm saying, over them. I think that's where a lot of that is going to come from. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get a lot of comic relief. I really think that a lot of this is going to be on Iman's shoulders and how she's able to be presented, you know, on screen, which is why I wish she was able to out there to be promoted. You know what I'm saying? She's when you listen to her talk, when you see her, you're automatically just drawn into her.
She's got that energy.
Yeah, and she's got like this innocence and this honesty about her, and you really believe everything that she's saying, and she's a true fan of the source material. You know what I'm saying, and everything that goes on. So I really feel like when we're talking about the Marvels and we're thinking about the past movies, I really feel like the success of this movie really falls on how likable and how well she does. And if people are drawn to her, especially if you're thinking about teenage girls, you're thinking about people of Muslim descent, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that, having representation on screen. we might be able to get this movie close. I don't think it's going to be $1 billion, but I think it would be one of the best selling Marvel movies of this year.
I get you. Probably close up there with Guardians, maybe.
Yeah.
I get you. And look, and again, not to say that silly and wacky isn't good, because like based off of the trailer, I say there's a dance montage, I think, in this, and I'm kind of pumped for that, to be honest with you. Like there are some fun elements about this movie I am looking forward to. I just definitely do think that there's more to it, right? Like Marcelino brings up, you look at something like a Thor 4, he put Ant-Man 3, he even put Guardians 3 in there, right? But I think the difference between Guardians and all those other movies that he announces, there was actual humanity in them and a focus of the characters, right? And and that type of thing. And so I do think that there is a lane, especially between the Monica and Carol stuff, that could be really fascinating if they really draw on that. And also what you stated, Indian, the idea of like the likability of Amon as Captain Marvel. I think if they can do those two things on top of the wacky and silly alone, then yeah, maybe they can give us something a little bit different than what we've recently been getting when it comes to comic book movies. But any last thoughts you have, Stuart, on that, or that you want to add?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I don't think this is going to hit the $1 billion, but I do think it is going to be, moderately successful given everything going on currently. And I think, like Indy, you brought up the whole thing of how like, the actors aren't currently allowed to even promote the film. And I think that's really going to hurt the overall box office numbers on it. And then there's also just kind of the fact that I feel like, I feel like there might have been already like a bunch of really, I feel like we've kind of hit the peak of box office this last month with Barbenheimer. So I'm not sure how many people are going to be that excited to go back to the movies for this after
well,
like
we got a couple
huge hit like that. Huh?
We got a couple months though. I'm hoping this comes out in like November. So hopefully people will.
Wow.
Yeah, I think this comes out in November if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so hopefully people will save up their money for this.
I'm a moron. I totally thought this was coming out in the next couple weeks. Okay, never mind. I definitely take back what I just said there. But regardless, so yeah, I do think it'll be moderately successful. I just don't think I don't think it's going to hit the $1 billion mark. And I think the whole not being able to promote it and then the whole like superhero fatigue is going to hold it back. But what I do think, if this movie is good, if this movie, like the director says, is going to hopefully be able to push beyond superhero fatigue by introducing us to elements that like, we don't see often, I'm hoping that word of mouth will help it have like maybe not the strongest opening weekend, but a strong like continuation in theaters. So basically, hopefully it'll have more people going back to see it and telling their friends who had no interest in seeing it to go see it as well. So yeah, I think it's really all just going to depend on whether or not what the director says is true or not. But the other thing is, if what the director says is not true, if it turns out this movie is just going to be another generic superhero movie, I think that not only will it do harm to this movie, it might do harm to other Marvel movies going forward, because likely you're going to have directors saying the exact same thing, that, oh yeah, we know that superhero fatigue is real. We promise, we're changing things up with this one, only for audience to be like, well, you said that about the Marvels and that it wasn't true. So yeah, I'm expecting okay numbers, but it's successful. Just have to be, based on the quality.
The one thing I feel that might help this movie is the fact of the rumors that there will be something said about the Scarlet Witch, which is plausible since Monica dealt so much, with Wanda. So you could see that, coming up, and that there's going to be some mention of Kang, in the movie, because think about it. I think the thing that's hurting Marvel right now the most is that Loki season 2 hasn't came out, because I really feel like there's a lot being hidden, for Loki to be able to show a lot, in the hand and stuff like that. And if we were able to have something like that earlier, maybe they're able to tell us more or show us more, or maybe tell different stories. It might be to the point that it's not fatigue. It might be that they've written themselves into a corner and try not to reveal things and having to shift all these movies around. And it's kind of messing with the way that they want to tell the story.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
What was that release date, Andy? Did you find the release date for
November 10th?
November 10th. Okay. So yeah, we definitely have some time. But we'll see, man. Again, never underestimate the power of women and little girls when it comes to an impactful movie like Captain Marvel certainly was. And we got some time left also. So hopefully the promotion will. I guess they can't really promote it very much, but hopefully it gets some hype before it drops. What's up, Indy?
I got a controversial statement.
Uh-oh.
So because of something like this and what's going on, we're not being able to promote the movie, a big movie like this, when it's only a couple of months before it comes out, right? Do we kind of understand where Stephen Amell was coming from?
No. No, I'm just kidding. No. I get his point.
Because you got to think somebody like him
it hurts.
Who literally the strike happens a week before his hit show drops that he can't promote, that hasn't been renewed for another season.
No, I get what he's saying. He just put his foot in his mouth.
Yeah,
he even came out recently in the TMZ thing and was like, yeah, I miscommunicated what I was trying to say. I mean, maybe he backtracked what he had previously said, but he even says he put his own foot in his mouth. And so I get it, because catering, there are his crew that helped put that stuff together. You want to be able to promote and show love to the people that help put that kind of stuff together.
Or was he smart enough that doing this and his name being in the media is actually giving him promotion for his show?
If that's his strategy, that's a really bad idea, because what you're going to do is you're going to have other actors really pissed at you. So when other jobs are available,
my blacklist his ass.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't strategy, not the smartest.
It might be a strategy, not the smartest, but I see a lot of actors that he has on there that, are working right now. And doing big things, and with CM Punk wearing the SAG After shirt, on Collision, last Friday, and them coming out, who was it? Kenny Omega coming out talking about he wanted Stephen Amell to come have a match, at AEW and all that.
A feud.
Yeah, so maybe it's all about maybe he's just smarter. Maybe he's still working at Oliver Queen level. Yeah,
maybe, man.
Maybe it was all just a setup for a WWE storyline.
No, sir, AEW
or AEW storyline,
not WWE. Like Datilla says, Bischoff always said, controversy creates cash.
It does, but I don't think in this case I don't think so. But that's funny that you put that shit together, though. I'm like, damn, is this a gimmick that they're no, it's okay. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts on the Marvels. Do you think it's going to be different and unique enough to certainly have a huge effect at the box office? Let us know your guys' thoughts. I'm probably not going to give my prediction for the box office until we get a little bit closer for it, but we'll see how it goes.
Look, if UPS can magically find $30 billion, I'm pretty sure that Hollywood could find money to do what they need to do.
I mean, you think so, but a couple of things real quick. Stuart or Indy, with the three of us on, can somebody switch the background? There should be another Hero Report background there, and then also the borders for. I think there should be like one of the images though. Yeah, that one, and then
oops.
This should be the borders image. Just switch back and forth from the borders to whatever images they'll be pop up. Yeah, just like that. Perfect. You gotta put the borders back up once you drop the image. So there we go. Perfection. Next up, we're still gonna stick in the world of Marvel, because since we are talking about strikes and unions, I did find this rather interesting that the Marvel Studios VFX department is thinking about unionizing. Vulture.com this week did have an article titled "Overworked and Underpaid: VFX Workers Vote to Unionize as Marvel at Marvel." And this is very much the year and the season and summer of labor unions and striking. People are realizing it feels very much like that all these corporate powers are hogging all this fucking money. Why don't you give it to the people that actually create the stuff for you to make all that money. I guess they're looking around and they're like, they're busting our asses. We're busting our asses over here creating CGI. People are shitting on us because our CGI hasn't been looking that great because you have been pushing us to the limits here. And everybody else is trying to get that money striking properly. Why don't we possibly get on board with that? So let's go ahead and dive into this article, fellas. It says, call it Hollywood labor organizing version of Avengers Assemble. On the heels of more than a year's worth of damning disclosures around Marvel Studios' systematic overworking and underpayment of visual effects workers on its blockbuster movies and streaming services. It says VFX crews at Marvel have finally petitioned to demand union recognition from the studio. On Monday, a group of more than 50 employees filed a petition for an election to be represented by the International Alliance of Theater Stage Employees, otherwise known as the IATSE, with the National Labor Relations Board. The workers are asking for the election to be held as early as August 21st. This marks the first time visual effects professionals have banded together to demand the same rights, wage protections, and professional watchdog oversight enjoyed by workers in almost every other segment of the entertainment industry. The supermajority of Marvel's 52-member on-set and post-production crew signed authorization cards to indicate they wish to be represented by the powerful labor union, representing some 170,000 artisans, technicians, stagehands, and craftspeople across TV, film, and live theater in the United States and Canada. And this is what they say. They say for almost half a century, workers in the visual effects industry have been denied the same protections and benefits their workers and crewmates have relied upon since the beginning of the Hollywood film industry. This is a historic first step for VFX workers coming together with a collective voice demanding respect for what we do. And it says in an era where around 90% of all films in release feature varying degrees of VFX fine tuning, it says workers within the field have remained stubbornly, confoundingly unrepresented by any professional union or guild, while fellow bottom line workers in such divisions as costumes and wardrobes, hair and makeup, lighting, props, and paint have been historically championed by IATSE. Unappreciated VFX professionals have been unable to claim benefits such as paid overtime and health care, and have been at the mercy of pronounced labor shortages and managers' unrealistic deadlines, despite the workers' increasingly indispensability within popular culture. And there's plenty more to this article, guys. I would highly recommend that you certainly go ahead and check it out. Again, this is from vulture.com. But yeah, they're looking to represent 170,000 sort of workers across TV, film, and live theater. That's kind of bananas that they're not paying overtime or even have the ability to get health care with some of the horror stories that we've seen so far, honestly. I mean, if you guys remember the vulture.com article they did a few months back about how they got Across the Spider-Verse put together, and some of the VFX artists coming out and talk about how much of a hell it was for them. And we've heard horror stories all across this department. And Stuart and Indy, I think when we have talked about these WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes, I think we even mentioned the idea like when are the VFX and special effects guys gonna get a union also? Like it's about time considering how much they've been overlooked. But it looks like we might be at that point. So what do you guys think in regards to them having an election, I would assume, to maybe join the union? So what do you guys think about that?
Shouldn't even be an election. They should have already been part of the union to start off with. Like it's nuts how underpaid those workers are and how much work they actually have to do. I mean, it gets to the point where they make the directors and actors jobs, way easier than what they used to be when we had to use practical effects all the time. That's the good thing about, the VFX. I'm for it. They deserve it. Animators and VFX are highly, underpaid. and need to get their just due. Again, I go back to the UPS thing. If UPS can in like a week randomly just find $30 billion somewhere and go, okay, now you're making $49 an hour, they can easily get these people what they need. It's just that the wrong people pockets are getting lined, and people don't want they feel like these VHX workers are a dime a dozen. So guys, walk right at there on the picket line with everybody else. You know what I'm saying? And show them what it is. Because if they think they're not getting content now, what happens when the actors and stuff come back and then all of a sudden the show can't get done because nobody can finish it?
Golly.
Yes. Okay. I was thinking for a minute, man, they should just go and strike with the actors and writers. But no, I like your idea so much better. If nothing gets done, once they unionize, if the demands aren't met, strike as soon as the actor strike is over, and boom. Hollywood is going to be like, wow, we already went through this once. We do not want to go through this again. Okay, fine, VFX artists, we will treat you fairly. I think this is I'm 100% with you, Indy. Like it's about time, pretty much. I'm surprised that they didn't have this before, given like all the hard work they had been doing, especially because ever since I want to say like 2015, it feels like the amount of blockbusters that we're getting every year is just skyrocketing. We're getting so many more of them, and I'm not just talking about Marvel. I'm talking about like all sorts of studios constantly releasing more and more bigger budget movies that essentially require so much more VFX to get done, especially because like it's like not only are we releasing more of them, but we're releasing them faster than they normally would have taken, years ago. Years ago, it would take years to make movies like this, but VFX artists have made it so it's like these movies come out way faster than ever before. And if you're going to push people to work that fast, if you're going to push these unrealistic expectations on them, the very least what you got to do is you got to treat them with respect. You got to pay them what they're worth. And the fact that they don't even get overtime, is mind blowing. Overtime, health insurance, things like that. Especially because, I know like to some people who, don't spend that much time in front of the computer, they may not understand that being in front of a computer doing VFX can have a very bad mental strain on you. And if you're not even getting health insurance for that kind of stuff, that is just complete BS. So yes, good on them for finally, deciding to unionize. And I really hope things work out in their favor. And I hope that, hopefully, after this whole shakeup with the strikes are done, it'll be like, it won't just be the writers and actors that get paid more. Hopefully the VFX artists and just all crew members that work on the film can make at the very least a living wage, a fair wage that, tells them that they are worth the work that they put into it,
Yeah, Stuart, you hit the nail on the head, man. I ain't gonna lie. I don't understand how they could sit in front of a computer for hours and do it. One of the things Kevin Smith talked about is that's one of the roughest parts of doing, final editing is the VFX and like just doing the final edits of a film. He was like, those are the parts that drag when you're trying to make sure that everything is perfect, because you can even find out something that you feel like can't be fixed, and if you don't have the budget to go back and reshoot it, you have to make that work. You have to be the one to fix that. So I totally get that. And look, I have issues sitting in front of this computer just to edit videos. I get yelled at by Adam constantly, like, bro, what's the review, bro? And this, Stuart. You be sitting there like, bro, like, it's if it's this hard at times to be able for us to be able to put out our content with as little as we do, for that, think about what they go through, when they're trying to put out a multi-billion-dollar budgeted movie or television shows on time. I think about that with The Witcher. Like when we get to the point where we're sitting down, we're watching the stuff, right? What was I watching? I was watching The Witcher, and I'm sitting there thinking like, yo, it probably took somebody 3 days just to edit the friggin' creature on the boat, for 5 minutes of what was in this one episode. And you telling me that they aren't being properly paid for the work that they're putting in? Bruh, you don't even have to unionize. Just get up, walk out, unionize after You know what I'm saying? And then say we're not coming back to the table till we got a full fair deal. They can do nothing unless they're gonna pay. Period.
It says a couple quick quotes here from the article. It says turnaround times don't apply to us, protected hours don't apply to us, and pay equity doesn't apply to us. Visual effects must become a sustainable and safe department for everyone who suffered far too long, and for all newcomers who need to know that they won't be exploited. They even say in VFX circles that they refer to Marvel as like the bullies, which I found pretty interesting. It says even with the group's petition, though, it does say a VFX worker strike is not out of the question. It is perhaps the most battle-tested and surefire route to union recognition. But yeah, it says Marvel is regarded in VFX circles as the industry's biggest bully, with the capacity to flood effects houses with more work than they know what to do with, or ruin careers and standings of those who do not live up to Marvel's sky-high expectations. So yeah, definitely need an opportunity to unionize for sure.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think your microphone is kind of wiggling a bit, and it's making.
Oh, is it making a noise? My bad.
Yeah. So
I think
just.
I was gonna say his knee was going.
Yeah, that's probably my knee. I have like the anxiety twitch, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, his knee was going.
Yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, man, a lot of crazy shit's happening. But yeah, look, they definitely deserve to get their money, man, for sure. I hope that this comes together really well. I don't know how long it takes for them to eventually become a union. Like after they have to go through this election, I don't know what the next step is for that process for them, but hopefully it doesn't take them very long, and they'll be able to strike maybe sooner rather than later. Because yeah, man, that would I just can't imagine being in that position. But I think everybody, especially now around the world, is starting to understand just the importance a little bit more of unions as well, and the idea of getting paid what you're certainly worth. So listen, if you have a job that has a union and you're not part of it, please join one for sure, just to go ahead and protect yourself if that's the case, because things are definitely changing when it comes to the labor.
I'll say this last thing in terms of the film industry when it comes to unionizing. The next people that need to unionize are specifically Cinemark, AMC, and Regal employees, because let me tell you, I have worked at Cinemark, and I have talked to people that have worked at AMC and Regal, and how it's basically the exact same thing. And now that I currently work at a theater that actually does, it's not perfect. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say it's like the best job ever. There are definitely some, tweaks here and there. But now that I've worked at a theater that actually does pay me a living wage, I can easily say that, yes, Cinemark employees, AMC employees, Regal employees, I encourage all of you to unionize.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. Now that we have, what's that?
I was gonna say happy birthday, Carla Perez.
Oh yeah, happy birthday. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, happy birthday.
She's the actress that played Rita Repulsa.
Oh yeah. I was like, why does that name sound so familiar? But yeah. Guys, let us know your thoughts on the VFX workers unionizing over at Marvel. Go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below, guys. And then the next topic we got, we're gonna kind of stay somewhat Marvelish, a little bit of Sony here mostly, as we dive into some Madam Web talk. As you guys know, look, when it comes to Sony Pictures, I think they're kind of mediocre when it comes to some of their superhero films, at least. When it comes to something like Venom, Venom 2, Morbius, you can take those with you. That's just me personally. But so when Sony tells me, listen, we're going to give you another Marvel superhero movie, I'm like, no thanks. I might pass on this one. But look, there have been a couple movies that they've been announcing that has piqued my interest a little bit. Kraven the Hunter, I'm not a big fan of Aaron Taylor Johnson, but you know what? That first trailer was damn impressive. So I am very much looking forward to seeing what they do with that movie, but I ain't getting my expectations up. The other movie, though, on other hand, is Madam Web, one that I think has such a great premise and concept, very much to that of like the Terminator, I believe, if that's the route that they're certainly going here. I think the concept and the idea is really cool. The question is, what's the execution going to be like? And is this something that they can really go ahead and pull off? Because if they can pull it off, man, I'm really stoked and kind of I'm actually, the more I talk about Madam Web, guys, I'm probably getting way ahead of myself here. Like my expectation level is starting to climb, and I've told myself, I've looked myself in the mirror and I said, Adam, don't let them fool you. Don't let Sony fool you. You know, don't get your expectations up. But you know what, man? They're climbing. They're climbing, fellas. And we got a great article here from Variety that got the opportunity to talk to one of the stars of Madam Web, and that is Sydney Sweeney, fresh off of Euphoria. I believe she's in something else recently. Yeah, just a masterpiece for sure when it comes to Sydney Sweeney. But she's in the news this week, and she's opening up a little bit more about Madam Web and particularly her role, and finally kind of confirming for us who she's going to be playing. I believe we might have already talked about this in regards to who she's going to be playing and like some of the very early rumors that we wind up letting you guys know about, but she is in fact confirming it for us as Sydney Sweeney's letting us know, hey, I'm going to be playing Spider-Woman, y'all. I'm going to be playing Spider-Woman. So let me go ahead and, yeah, if you guys can pull up one of the articles there, I'm going to see if I can find this section of her Variety interview here where she talks a little bit more about it. It says, before then, Madam Web will...
Two quick things before you get into the article. Yeah, I think that I'm kind of with you in terms of Madam Web with my expectations. Like I'm starting to get slightly more, but here's the thing. I feel like depending on how Kraven the Hunter goes, it'll either be that extra step. If it's good, it'll be an extra step to get my hopes up, or it'll be that pebble that I trip on that makes me like suddenly just not care once again. It's all going to depend on how Kraven the Hunter does. My expectations for this movie.
I totally agree with you right there, Stuart, for sure. If Kraven the Hunter just bombs and stinks it up, I'm just going to go right back to I'm never believing anything they tell me ever again. But this comes to us from Variety.com. The article says, before then, Madam Web will premiere in February. So that's right, February of 2024. So it's right around the corner. With Sweeney playing Julia Carpenter, who in the comics becomes Spider-Woman. She's going to be playing Julia Carpenter opposite Dakota Johnson's title superhero. When she booked the role, she says, I was freaking out, of course. I went straight to the comic store and I bought every comic that mentioned my character. It says, although box office returns for superhero films have been slowing down, Sweeney is confident Madam Web will break through. She says, I think it's different from what people expect a superhero movie to be. Quote that. That's a quote because the tabloids will pick up everything else we talk about. When I asked if she hopes her character will have an expanded role in the MCU, Sweeney gives a coy yes before taking a long sip of tea. Question about a potential standalone Spider-Woman movie is met with a shrug as Sweeney smiles knowingly. And you can bring that one of those images down if you'd like. The idea, first off, that she is teasing the idea of her being in a Spider-Woman movie. Look, didn't we just have a report a couple months back that they were possibly looking at doing a Spider-Woman movie? And I think maybe some of us were under the impression, oh, they got it, because I think it was fresh off of Across the Spider-Verse. And I think maybe some of us were thinking, are they talking about Gwen Stacy? We haven't really referred to Gwen Stacy as a Spider-Woman, right? She's kind of gone through other names, but I think a lot of us associated it with Gwen Stacy. But now that Sydney Sweeney's coming out talking about her playing Julia Carpenter, if the success of Madam Web goes really well, who's to say that they don't have an eye on her having a Spider-Woman movie of her own at some particular point in time? I'm really fascinated by this. I'm glad that she's kind of talked about her finally being Julia Carpenter. The question I would certainly have is, are we getting costumes or not, though? I don't necessarily think that that's the route that they're going. It would not surprise me that there might be another image up there of like a group of women along the Spider Woman timeline or Madam Web thing. I don't know if there's any images up there. But they feel like they're very much in just their regular neighborhood clothes. So I don't know if they're superheroes. Yes, that one. I would assume that's Sydney Sweeney in the white or the beige jacket. So they don't really have costumes in here, but they're all supposed to be representing some level of like Spider Girl, Spider Woman sort of thing, right? These are all major characters in the comic book movies. Feels very much before they get costumes. So look, I don't know if we're gonna have ourselves like if they all get bitten by spiders by the end of Madam Web and they all have superpowers or whatever the case may be. I don't know if that's how it's gonna play itself out, or if this is sort of like the origin stories, if you will, a starting off point based off of Madam Web and just her powers in general and what they're doing. So, the idea also that Sweeney in here mentions that she believes that this movie will break through because it's different from what people expect a superhero movie to be. Possibly going back to that rumored storyline of it being sort of like a Terminator-esque type of film. That certainly would separate it from some other superhero movies that we have definitely seen before. So that's to certainly make it a pretty interesting little slice out of these superhero comic book movie genres. So she even says, quote that. So Sydney Sweeney's feeling rather confident in here. I do want to go and get your guys' thoughts, but for those of you who are not familiar with Julia Carpenter too much, Indy, if you can, do you have any information on like her run as Spider-Woman or any information to kind of get people caught up? I think you're muted. Are you muted?
Yeah, definitely. This is one of the things where I wish this was a character being done by mainstream Marvel rather than just Sony. Because Julia Carpenter was a big, she first appeared in Secret Wars #6, I think like in 1984. And she's the second Spider-Woman, you know what I'm saying? And so I kind of wanted this character to pop up like in a Secret War movie. But maybe she will, maybe she won't. You know what I'm saying? If Sony's feeling nice, you know what I'm saying?
I was gonna say there's still time, and depending on how this does, it's possible.
Yeah. Well, the character debuted in issue 6 of the Secret Wars. Has been a part of Avengers West Coast Force Works. I'm trying to remember the other group she was in. I should have wrote this down. I think Omega Flight, the Secret Defenders. Has an interesting kind of biography because like I think it was a group called the Commission that wanted to create like their own superhero. So they found Julia Carpenter like in Denver, and they told her, they asked her to be like part of like a jock study, like an athletic study or something like that. And she didn't know that she was like unknowingly a test subject in their experiments, and she was accidentally injected with a mix of spider venom and like plant extracts, and that's what ended up giving her powers. And like not too long after that, she was given the identity of Spider-Woman. So she has a bunch of stuff that Spider-Man has, like superhuman strength, speed, agility, stamina, durability, can wall climb. But the difference with her from Spider-Man is that she makes like psychokinetic energy webs. She has regenerative healing. Of course, not technically spider sense, because the spider sense that Peter has is like some of the strongest precognition that is out there. But she does have like some type of clairvoyance and precognition, but she's also telepathic. So that's what differs her from, you know what I'm saying, going on. But the real difference is that little side web, that psychotic energy, you know what I'm saying? So like it's kind of a power where she's able to develop it from like anywhere. You know what I'm saying? And she can make like this web of energy that she can use, have like any type of tensile strength, and can carry up to 10 tons in weight. And once she like uses it, it lasts for like an hour. But she doesn't have to like string it across like anybody. She can make the webs to be anywhere. It could pop up anywhere. So she can make it so it just pops up behind the person. Like she doesn't have to shoot it out like Spider-Man does and like wrap them up. That's the difference goes on. But it takes a lot of concentration for her to be able to do it. And that's why you see her like waving her hands like she's doing spells, because a lot of people thought she was magical. She's not. It's just that it's easy for her to concentrate when she's moving her hands in order to be able to do it. So if this is a character that done right, is going to be look pretty interesting on the screen. So I'm looking forward to how they put this character, you know what I'm saying, up there, because she's going to be super dope, really interesting, and Miss Carpenter, Julia Carpenter, is actually one of my favorite Spider-Woman.
We have any other pictures of her in her blue and white costume or no?
The blue and white.
Yeah, that's how I came across Julia Carpenter back in the day as Spider-Woman. I used to absolutely love this costume of hers. So yeah, I'm super excited that she's getting the opportunity to be a part of this. Again, I don't know if we're gonna get ourselves any costumes, but man, I can't wait to see if they do or not.
I need to get wifey that costume.
Yeah, I bet you do. Well, what about you, Stuart? What do you think about Sydney Sweeney playing Julia Carpenter, aka Spider-Woman?
Definitely excited to see her play something other than, kind of a victim, pretty much like in Euphoria. So I'm really excited to see what her full range is, because I think Euphoria is the only show that I've really seen her in. And the overall movie, again, my excitement is really just going to depend on how Sony does with Kraven the Hunter, because they definitely haven't been hitting it out of the park at all. It's ever since the first Venom movie. They haven't really released anything that's really blown me away, unless you count, of course, Into the Spider-Verse, which those movies, of course, are amazing. But yeah,
that's really the only thing coming out of Sony that I absolutely love. Because it's got trusted people behind it, like Lord and Miller, that have done great things in their career so far. But it's like anything else that they put out. Like I used to not be the biggest fan of the first Venom movie. I thought it was okay, but it definitely wasn't what I was hoping that it would be. Venom 2 and Morbius had me appreciating that movie way more than I probably should, honestly. But yeah.
Yeah, so I think she's a great choice, and how she does is really just going to depend on the script. Also, you mentioned not being a fan of Aaron Taylor Johnson. I recommend watching Bullet Train, because he's amazing in that movie.
That is literally the only role that I've seen him in that I'm like, damn, he's actually pretty good. Anything else that I've seen him in, I haven't really been that big of a fan. But Bullet Train is, I think, his performance in Bullet Train, and then get an opportunity to see him in the Kraven the Hunter trailer. It's like, I'll give props where props is due. I do think that first Kraven trailer was actually pretty badass. There's honestly, I can't get the image out of my head of him literally biting a man's nose off and then spitting it into the camera. It was the hardest shit I've ever seen in such a long time. And so I was like, okay, you got my attention. And you got Russell Crowe in this movie too. But yeah, I'm not getting Sony. You ain't about to fool me, dog. You ain't about to fool me. You ain't about to fool me. So yeah, we'll see what happens there.
I'll go in to watch the movie, but I'm definitely not expecting anything. I'm going in expecting to be disappointed. And hey, to quote MJ from the Disney Spider-Man, if you expect disappointment, you'll never be disappointed.
I guess that's true. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. Sydney Sweeney, confirming her role as Julia Carpenter. Let us know your thoughts, and we'll definitely continue to keep you guys posted about the updates for Madam Web, because my excitement continues to grow. But all right, guys, let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. And from there, we'll move on to our next topic. We're going to go ahead and dive into DC for you guys, as Creature Commandos is set to go ahead and drop in 2024. That's the upcoming James Gunn sort of DC animated series that I believe is tying into his overall DCU, but it's not necessarily officially kicking it off as the first movie project. But I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, Stuart, that this is by James Gunn, and will also plan on being a part of the bigger DCU, as they have mentioned that the voice actors for this role will be portraying their characters, I believe, in the DCU. Is that correct?
It's hard to say. I feel like James Gunn has really been going back on a lot of things that he's mentioned in the beginning. Because one of the weird things is that he's been saying that Blue Beetle will be the first DCU movie. And then he's gone and said, "Oh, he'll be the first DCU character, but Blue Beetle will not be a DCU movie." So I don't know at this point with Creature Commandos. I could see it kind of being the same thing, where it's like it's not in the DCU, but these actors and characters will be in the DCU.
I get you. You might be onto something there. That might be the direction that we got to go when it comes to how James Gunn's explaining this. But David Harbour, who's going to be in Creature Commandos, you know him from Stranger Things, his small little stint as Hellboy, Red Guardian, amongst other things as well. He had the opportunity to sit down in an exclusive interview with Collider.com, and the article is titled "David Harbour on his wildly funny Creature Commandos role exclusive." And Stuart, if we have any Creature Commando images, if you can go ahead and pull those up. It says when the Creature Commandos series is written entirely by James Gunn, who already has the scripts prepared by the time the series was announced back in February. It is expected to be one of the first products to come out of the new DCU, introducing viewers to the bizarre collection of supernatural heroes as they undertake Black Ops missions at the behest of Amanda Waller. With its colorful cast of characters, it seems like the perfect introduction to the new DCU that's unafraid to embrace a wide variety of themes and genres. Gunn is the ideal match for a series like this. He's responsible for making Guardians of the Galaxy a household name with a trilogy of beloved films over with the MCU. At DC, he's already proven capable of making an excellent film with quirky team thanks to his Suicide Squad film and subsequent Peacemaker spinoff. Harbour, who has experience portraying supernatural being with heart from his time as Hellboy, loves the writing behind his Frankenstein monsters role for the series. According to the actor, Creature Commandos will be especially hilarious to the point where Gunn thought of it as his best material ever. He says, this is what David Harbour says. He says, I didn't know what it was when it was sent to me. I met with James and he sort of laid out a lot of stuff. It's really exciting. He considers it some of the best stuff he's ever written. It's hilarious and the character is great. I think it's been announced that it's Frankenstein and it's very colorful, terrific character. So yeah, we've started to shoot stuff. I'm not one to, he says, I'm not one to really break, but during this, it is wildly funny stuff. So yeah, we're shooting. It's hilarious, and I can't wait for people to see it. So yeah, man. It does say some of the characters. You've got Sean Gunn coming back as Weasel and G.I. Robot. So he's playing two roles in here. Maria Bakalova as Princess Alana, alongside Frank Grillo as Rick Flag Sr., Indira Varma as the bride, Zoe Chow as Nina, and Alan Tudyk as Dr. Phosphorus. So a really interesting group of characters there, Stuart. But yeah, what do you think about David Harbour's mention here about not only the script, but just his time as a character as Frankenstein?
Hearing that it's going to be, kind of that they're going for like more of a comedic tone, makes total sense, and it definitely makes sense why they wanted this series to be animated. I'm very excited to see like how funny it ends up being if James Gunn is convinced that this is some of his best material. I also think that David Harbour as Frankenstein is a perfect casting. I think in the Marvel universe, I feel like they kind of wasted his casting by having him be Red Guardian. I feel like there were so many other roles he would have been so much better for, and they kind of just went for, to me, Red Guardian and Black Widow felt like we don't have anyone specific in mind, so we'll just find someone who's kind of big that people really like, and we'll just have him be Red Guardian. And that's what it kind of felt like. It felt like they kind of blindly casted him, if that makes sense. But I feel like him as Frankenstein, though, it feels like a role where it really plays on his strengths. And not only do I see him making a good voice for Frankenstein, if they ever decide to bring him into live action, like we know there's a Swamp Thing movie in development. We know that, James Gunn seems like the kind of guy that would love to explore the horror side of the DC universe. I could totally see him playing this role in live action and doing just as good of a role in live action as well.
Yeah, I could definitely see that also. If anything, I would agree with that. Well, when it comes to Red Guardian, at least he does get the opportunity to reprise his role again in Thunderbolts. So it's not necessarily like it was like a one-off in the sense of like, hey, we're never going to use you again. So I do like that he's going to have at least some sort of a role with that being an ensemble cast, kind of similar almost to Black Widow. I mean, what there was maybe like two, three other people, so maybe not quite as much of an ensemble cast, but very much so when it comes to Thunderbolts. I am looking forward to seeing him once again, at least when it comes to Red Guardian. It is fascinating for me here to hear him say like James Gunn believes that this is like his best stuff that he's ever written. Because I think James Gunn literally said also when he made his announcement for the Waller series, while he's not writing Waller, he was like, "This is one of the best series I've ever seen." Like he loves best everything. I mean, I don't know if I'm necessarily going to take him on his word when it comes to like his how he feels about series and movies. I mean, he did say he thought The Flash was like the best superhero comic book movie of all time. Some people will never forgive him for saying something like that. But look, movies are certainly subjective. He clearly loved the movie. And had big expectations for it, and he clearly loves the script here. I'm glad that it reminded me that he actually is writing this series, so that makes me even more fond of checking it out because I've loved everything that James Gunn has done for the DCU or DC in general so far. So I'm really pumped about that. And leave it up to James Gunn to go ahead and be able to write himself a pretty funny script. And if you got somebody that needs some level of comedy chops on there, I think David Harbour is absolutely great. I really love the way that he delivers lines. He's got great timing when it comes to his level of comedy as well, to a certain extent. I just think he carries. I think he plays characters very well that sort of fit his own sort of personality a little bit, laid back, sarcastic, will give you shit from time to time sort of thing. So that's what I'm really expecting somebody like a Frankenstein to kind of be in this series also. But look, if David Harbour is having a good time, I think everybody's certainly going to put their best foot forward and give us something really fun and interesting. And the fact that this is really the first thing that leads off the DCU, to me, is fascinating. And I think it also builds a further connection to the upcoming Waller series too. I don't know if they're both going to be connected or if there's going to be references in the Waller series to moments in Creature Commandos. But I think this is a really cool, for me at least, like first step to, if they are establishing the DCU world, to just show maybe how big of a role somebody like an Amanda Waller might have in this world as well. And so that honestly gets me excited too. But I'm down. I'm excited for it. It's going to be weird and unique, and I will be looking forward to see how people react to it. But listen, it's James Gunn. It's got some weird characters in it. I'm sold.
Yeah. So something about the Amanda Waller series that I think would be really cool if they went with, because Amanda Waller is the kind of character that always is like one step ahead of everyone. How cool would it be if she was one of the rare characters that had her memories of the DCEU in the new DC universe? Therefore, she knew the identities of a lot of the superheroes, but a lot of the superheroes didn't really know about her things with Argus and everything like that. So she actually had a bit of an advantage.
That would be pretty cool. I would actually love seeing something like that. I mean, look, we've already established, I think, the idea that there are ways, right? Like if you are going to be resetting the DCU, especially with James Gunn talking about, look, you will see some familiar faces. Then again, you're going to see some familiar characters with brand new faces, right? So some people can definitely clearly come back. And so maybe Viola Davis as Amanda Waller is certainly one of those. And I even threw out the suggestion of maybe Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, possibly being able to, especially with her being an Amazon and Themyscira already being like its own sort of thing. It feels like that's kind of very I don't want to say outworldly or like realmly, like Asgard or anything like that. But it feels like if you wanted to get away with something of like, they were separated from other things that happened, it would make complete sense to me. And Amanda Waller being who she is and having access to certain things, you never know what Waller certainly knows,
Definitely.
So yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to Creature Commandos. How are you guys feeling about it? Are you guys excited for it? Are you gonna a little hesitant, wait and see sort of attitude? Let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. And I think we got one last topic for you guys today as we switch gears. What's up?
Too bad Indy isn't here for this one.
Yeah, man. Did he drop? Is he planning on coming back? Do you know?
I think he said he had to go pick up his or wait.
Is there, I don't know if it's in the chat.
Yeah, so he had to cut out because he had to go pick up his kid, I think.
Yeah, I was hoping to keep him here because eventually we are expected to have a Twisted Metal series or season review for you guys. India is working on it, so definitely look forward to a Twisted Metal review for you guys. Since they dropped all 10 episodes, I believe, over on Peacock, we can sit down and certainly binge it. So hopefully next week, you guys will have a Twisted Metal review for you guys. But Twisted Metal is in the news because apparently it's doing some fantastic numbers over at Peacock, or people are really, really watching this series, according to Deadline.com. Deadline.com says Twisted Metal sets audience record for Peacock comedies, earns spot among streamers' top original series. This is an exclusive. It says audiences seem to be racing through Peacock's latest series, Twisted Metal. In the 2 weeks since the video game adaptation launched, it has become the streamer's most binged comedy premiere to date. According to NBC Universal, the average account watched about 3 episodes per sitting, with some opting to knock out all 10 in a single viewing window. The company didn't report exactly how many people have watched Twisted Metal, but it is apparently joining the ranks of Bel-Air, The Best Man, Poker Face, and Based on True Story as one of Peacock's top 5 original series launched to date. It did say that the Nielsen data showed that Twisted Metal drew about 400 million viewing minutes in the weekend following its July 27th premiere, making it one of the most watched streaming originals. Stuart, have you got an opportunity to check out this show?
I have not. My relationship with the video game, it's I played a little bit of it on PlayStation 2, and then that's it. Like, I never really did the campaign or anything. I just played a little bit of the multiplayer part on PlayStation 2, and so I have no connection with the series, but I do really like the cast, and the trailers did look entertaining. So it is something that I do plan to check out. It's just not really a top priority for me at the moment.
Yeah, I got to admit, and you can pull down this image. I got to admit, I don't know how I felt about the series going in. I really wasn't big on the video game itself. I didn't really play it too much growing up as a kid, to the point where I was like, I didn't even know it had a storyline. Like, I didn't even think there was a storyline, but clearly they wind up making one out of the video game. And so, if anything, like, I do like me some Anthony Mackie. Seeing how people have received this series, I kind of want to check it out. I am curious how long each episode is. The idea that some people literally like just binged all 10 episodes in a single viewing does make me curious as to how long each episode. Like, are they easy digestible, like 30-minute episodes, or are they 45 to 50 minutes long? I would be interested to see how that goes. But if anything, Stuart, it makes me laugh that we are still in this time, and I think that this just shows the reasons for this strike, and the transparency that I think streaming services need to have. Because again, the article says, 2 weeks in, it's become the streamer's most binge comedy premiere date. But the company didn't report exactly how many people watched Twisted Metal. And if you're basing it solely off of like, hey, but they did 400 million minutes, 400 million, that's great. Let me put on like 10 TVs in my studio and just turn them all on to Twisted Metal and just have them streaming, like, and just help you add and boost your minutes. No, how many people watched your show? Because now because when things like this happen, Stuart, now it makes me wonder, are you just manufacturing the top 5? Like, are you just telling me as a viewer, like, hey, we really want you to watch this show, so we're just going to tell you a lot of people are watching our show. You should probably watch it too. It just feels like, I don't know, there are times when I think to myself, like, if we truly don't know the numbers that are happening behind this, are these shows really as big as they seem? Are people really watching some of these shows, or is it you just telling us what you want us to watch, or what you want us to certainly hear? So I don't know, Stuart. How do you feel about it though?
No, I'm kind of with you. I do think that it probably is one of their best streaming shows, and I honestly wouldn't doubt if it was like their number one. But yeah, I am with you with the whole like them not showing us numbers. It does come off as extremely sketch. Because yeah, one of the big things I am also really curious about is like, okay, so you say it's the best viewed show on your streaming service, by how much? And you know, I think the major reason, of course, you know, as it goes back to the strike, that they don't want to show it is because the moment that they show those numbers, the more writers are going to be like, okay, cool, now we have a specific number of how much we think you should pay us for this, you know. And I think that's what they're afraid of, unfortunately. It's
Yeah, and I'm definitely
it's all ridiculous, you know.
And trust me, I'm not saying that Twisted Metal isn't. You know, I don't want people to say like I don't believe this article. I do believe the article. I'm just saying when you put things in perspective and you write it out like that you couldn't tell me how many people watch, it does make me feel like I have the right to ask the question then.
Yeah, of
as
course.
to how, like as to are you being for real right now? Are you serious about this, or are you manufacturing these kind of headlines in order for people to kind of watch your show? So look, I'm pretty sure Twisted Metal probably has the success that it certainly has guaranteed, has garnered, and props to Anthony Mackie and for having a hit show for sure. But again, when articles are written like this, when streaming services don't want to tell me the numbers, I think I have the right to certainly ask that question, and not to take anything away from Twisted Metal, but just other shows from the past that they've mentioned things like that about. It's just makes you wonder from time to time,
Oh yeah, it's definitely something that we as an audience should know, and of course the people that work on the show definitely deserve to know too.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I may actually check out Twisted Metal here. I'm gonna go ahead and check and see how long these episodes are. If I can binge them relatively quickly, I may go ahead and give it a shot. But if anything, guys, look forward to a season 1 review for Twisted Metal from Indie later on this week. And I think with that out of the way, guys, I think that will do it for our honorable. Oh, for all of our main topics for the day. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do live viewer questions just because of this, but my internet seems to be working, so I may try and join up here real quick and see if I can. Actually, let me see if I can pull up live viewer questions on my side real quick.
I do unfortunately have to take off.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Let me try and pull up live viewer questions on my side, and then I'm gonna try and log in here to. Okay.
It looks like you are.
Yeah, I'm gonna
streaming.
I'm gonna leave here, and then I'll be in just a second. Hold on one moment, Stuart.
Cool.
Can you hear me?
I sure can.
Am I here?
You are here.
Am I
You
here?
are not freezing. You
No?
are. Yeah. Wait, can you hear me?
Oh, you know what? It would probably help. Hold on a second, Stuart.
Is the mic
I've done
not
that
plugged
stuff.
in? That makes sense.
You hear me okay?
I sure can. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
Awesome.
All right, awesome. So yeah, I'll try this. I'm gonna try this live viewer question thing. So we'll see how it goes. But thank you very much, Stuart. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, but before I go, I just got to say it is now time for live viewer questions.
Appreciate that, Stuart. Thanks for getting that for me before you left, buddy.
Of course. I will definitely see you next week, and all of you have a wonderful time and keep it A+.
All right, see you, buddy.
See ya.
All right. Real quick, and again, disclaimer: I've been dropping in and out of connectivity, so if I drop out, I apologize. But real quick, I gotta give props to Datila here for the support. I don't know how long you've been sitting on there. I thought they were gonna pull you up, but I guess not. But Datila in the house with the super chat. No wonder WWE was petty and edited out Samoa Joe's Sweet Tooth from Twisted Metal poster. They were pissed to see its success. You might be onto something there, Datila, for sure. I didn't think WWE could be that petty, but seeing how they edited Samoa Joe out of the I don't want to say the wallpaper, but the promo for when you go on peacock.com or Peacock streaming service to watch it. Yeah, no Samoa Joe there as Sweet Tooth, but appreciate the $5 super chat coming in and taking care of the channel here. So I really appreciate that. Let's see here. All right, let me go ahead and get these live viewer questions up. Again, not sure how long this is going to allow me to, but I'm definitely going to do my best for you guys. So let's go over to our community tab as always and go ahead and scroll down to our questions. We only have 4 today. We'll sort them by newest first. And here we go. Blossom, what are you guys excited for Cosmic Fury? I remember you said you didn't like the Cosmic Fury Morpher very much. How would you guys redesign it? I didn't have a problem with the Morpher. I have a problem with the toy version of the Morpher. Based off of because I've seen Simon Bennett actually rocking the actual Morpher itself, along with other members from behind the scenes and stuff in some of the images. So the Morpher itself, I think, looks actually pretty cool. It's the toy version of the Morpher that I'm not a big fan of. It's just very dull in regards to any color schemes. It just doesn't look like a fun Morpher or a toy to me to go ahead and actually warrant purchasing it. So wasn't the biggest fan of the design toy wise, but the Morpher for the show, that is one I probably would pay a pretty dollar to actually have. As far as what are you guys expecting for Cosmic Fury? Just a ton of originality, honestly. I'm really hoping that they give us something vastly different than what we've come to know. I think the idea of it being 10 episodes long, Simon Bennett has also mentioned the idea of it really not being any filler, that it's just going to be sort of straight storytelling. That definitely has me excited. I am really even more curious to learn the power dynamic between Amelia as the Red Ranger and Zato as the Champagne Poppy Ranger that we have him as now. So those are I don't know if those were what I'm expecting, but those are some of the things that I am looking forward to seeing addressed, and really how different it certainly makes Cosmic Fury certainly feel. And to be honest, look, I'm going to be honest, man. I've been on Twitter. I haven't really been very vocal when it comes to Power Ranger stuff these days. It's just the I don't know if it's the fandom or if it's just, I don't even say it's the fandom. I just think things have become so polarized on Power Ranger Twitter that I just haven't been wanting to interact with a lot of the negativity that I've been seeing. It's sometimes I think we tend to get ahead of ourselves. We're such a reactionary society these days. We haven't even seen anything from Cosmic Fury yet, and I've already seen people kind of already crapping on it already, or really just talking a bunch of ish about it. And for me, it's like, look, and it tends to be coming maybe even from people that maybe have already seen glimpses of behind the scenes stuff, have been given information about it, and maybe they're basing a lot of their perspectives and points of view on very early things that they're getting an opportunity to see that maybe others haven't. And sometimes the idea of putting negativity out there in the world before the general audience and public have even gotten the opportunity to see a product, I think is really damning and can really hurt a fandom at the end of the day. And so I just have not found myself interacting with Power Ranger fandom or, topics as much. because it's just become very polarizing these days, and it's just a lot of negativity behind it. So for me, I really want to keep my positivity about Cosmic Fury because of the fact that it is so vastly different. You know, one, it may be our last Power Rangers season, sort of as we know it, sort of connected to this overall franchise. So that out of the way, it makes me want to hold on to this series a little bit more, and just be hopeful that Simon Bennett, who I very much have trusted with Dino Fury, that I thought was a really great season, he helped direct some really great episodes of Beast Morphers. I think if anything, coming into the idea of like now Power Rangers on Netflix, I'm hoping that he goes a little bit bolder and does things slightly different. And so I'm going to certainly wait to see. We are in the middle of August, and we still have no idea when Cosmic Fury is certainly going to drop. But I'm hoping by the end of this month that we have ourselves some sort of a trailer or first look, and hopefully Cosmic Fury dropping sometime in September or October. So I'm hoping for good things is really all I can say when it comes to Cosmic Fury. And I trust Simon Bennett to do right by the series. And again, I'm not going to shit on a product that I have not had the opportunity to see yet. And if you have seen the product and you're shitting it on it already, to me, that just says, look, you clearly have a big voice in this fandom. Maybe you should certainly use your words wisely and allow the fandom to get excited for something before somebody starts crapping on it and really brings everybody else's sort of momentum and enthusiasm down. I don't think it does anything for the fandom, and I think it hurts at the end of the day. So I really do hope that people, and look, I think it's going to take a community. I think it's going to take a Power Ranger community to help bolster Cosmic Fury. Again, it is not our job. It is not our job. Netflix and Hasbro should be out there promoting this show. I don't know how far away that we certainly are. Again, Netflix has never been known to promote anything on time. It feels like maybe about a month out or like a couple of weeks out, we might get some material. It feels like they promote stuff after it has officially dropped. And so if they're not going to do the promotion, I do think us as Power Ranger fans have to pick up that heavy burden and get excited for it, or at least put it out there in the world for people to certainly band together and get pumped for this upcoming season. And we'll see how it goes, man. But I'm still excited for Cosmic Fury, and I do think that Simon Bennett's going to give us some good things. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. Who knows? But I'm going to leave it up to actually seeing it before I actually judge it. What else we got here? Peg C coming through. Hey, Adam, hope you and your family are doing well. A couple of questions. Have you seen the teaser trailer for TMNT The Last Run? And if so, what were your thoughts? I have seen it. Indy did give his brief thoughts on it during honorable mentions. I was hoping for maybe a glimpse of some gameplay. I am kind of curious if even maybe the trailer that we got, if the graphics like that, are those going to be very much cinematic graphics in the video game itself? But I think this is a great, perfect opportunity to bring something new for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to video games. And if this is getting adapted into a video game, it gets my hope up a little bit that people will take more chances on more TMNT content, whether that be TV, movies, animation, whatever the case may be. I hope they strike while the iron is hot, and I think Last Ronin is something that would be great to maybe possibly adapt one day for a screen, whether that be big or small. So yeah, the trailer definitely got me pumped for the possibilities, especially. What are your thoughts on the first episode plot details of X-Men 97? First episode details? Hold on, let me, as I have not seen that, Peg C. First episode plot. When was this drop? Published 2 days ago. Okay. X-Men 97 first episode plot details shared by the producers. Based on the characters from Marvel Comics, yada, yada, yada. CG Wolf. Okay. Fans' anticipation of the show has been understandably high. Yada, yada, yada. The teaser clip revealed at the event, which showed the yada, yada, yada. Where's the information on the episode? My God, they had me go through this whole entire. Let me see if I can find another article for it. The movie blog. Okay, so they said they revealed it at San Diego Comic-Con 2023. As shown in the clip, along with X-Men questioning Dr. Task and a pregnant Jean Grey. What? In an interview with Marvel, the producers discussed show during their attendance at the Designing the X-Men. The audience also got to view a clip of the X-Men setting off on a mission to deal with the Sentinels as they provided exclusive information about the program and its characters. DeMeo talked about how the X-Men are going on a mission in order to confront a new Sentinel threat. They are, however, unexpectedly attacked in the middle of the mission and have to use practical skills of the Danger Room in order to protect themselves, which sounds very similar to scenes from the original series. The Dr. Trask created Sentinels who frequently oppose the X-Men in the animated series will also appear in the animated sequel. Trask and his Sentinels do not appear to be the focus of the new show's antagonists, though. DeMeo already revealed who the series' main adversary will be. So yeah, that sounds actually pretty cool. It says DeMeo also made hints at saying that Mr. Sinister will once again not be up to any good. The main antagonist will carry out a pretty foolproof plan to destroy X-Men once and for all. That sounds pretty exciting. That Jean Grey pregnant thing, though, what? I did not expect to see that in regards to one of the clips that was presented over at San Diego Comic-Con, but that's pretty bananas. I'm really excited for this, man. I don't even know when this is certainly supposed to drop. Again, this is X-Men 97. It is the animated sequel series to the classic 1990s X-Men series that we wind up getting, literally picking up right after that X-Men series back in the day. X-Men 97 does not drop until 2024, but again, no release date as of yet. But thank you for bringing that up to my attention, Peg C. But yeah, I'm very excited for it. That sounds pretty bananas. Jessica Friedman, do you think we see a do you think we see a super version of Jimmy Olsen and Superman and Lois? And is the writer's strike going to delay Cosmic Fury's release date? Now that I think about it, I don't think it's going to delay the release date. But you can still promote stuff that's already been filmed and in the can, right? Damn, can you? I think you can. Since this is already done, I do think Cosmic Fury will be released. Whether or not they get the opportunity to promote it, I don't think so. Will they? Hold on, somebody correct me. I don't even know. Will they be able to promote this shit? Well, Power Rangers is non-union, right? So yeah, they should be able to promote it because Power Rangers is non-union. So that shouldn't be a problem. As far as do I think we'll see a super version of Jimmy Olsen and Superman and Lois? I don't even know we had a Jimmy Olsen and Superman and Lois in the series. Somebody let me know if that's correct, or did they just introduce a Jimmy Olsen this year or something like that? And we got Marcelino Velasquez. There's something that has me confused for a while. A few months back, the number of people who asked live viewer questions went from 20 to now to 6. I decided to go back to the old community posts that have live viewer questions. And strangely enough, the post that had 20 people asking now has 6 as well. It's as if the 14 other people never existed, which is obviously not true because you answered those questions to your live videos. What do you think happened? It kind of feels like the 14 people had accounts hacked or decided to delete their accounts, but that feels too coincidental for 14 people to just delete their accounts or get hacked. To answer your question, I don't remember if you remember this, Marcelino, and again, I don't know if this is true or not, But there were times when I was even asking, like, are some of you guys like not trolls, but like, are you guys like duplicates? Are some of you guys even real? Because sometimes I literally would have, like, when we were getting emails to the instead of dropping questions for your post, I was having people send them to my email account, if I'm not mistaken. Sometimes they were like almost duplicate questions, or just like worded differently. And I always found it fascinating that a bunch of people at certain times, like 20 people, would be in the live chat. And then sometimes it would almost like it's dropped. And two things. One, I think that they were either fake accounts that people just made and like spam the YouTube channel and asking questions, or I have known YouTube to do this sometimes. There was a period where I personally lost like 14 or 20 like subscribers. And I was like, what the hell happened to my number? And so I do think sometimes YouTube takes away people's subscriptions, or just drops people off of some subscription sort of thing, and maybe they haven't necessarily found their way back to the channel, or they think that they're still connected in regards to being subscribed, but they're not, and they've just kind of fallen off. So I don't know. I think it might be a mixture of both, Marcelino. I do think it's some people, making secondary, third, YouTube accounts that aren't real people, but represent themselves to be. And maybe YouTube recognizes this and is deleting some of that extra duplicate. You know what I mean? So it might be a little bit of both there, Marcelino. Maybe I asked this before, but I don't remember you answering it. But who's an actor that you personally don't like as an actor, but love as a human being? For example, many people don't like Corey Stoll, Megan Fox, or Andrew Gray as actors, but they love them as human beings. They love their personalities and their activisms. That's a good question. Is there an actor that I don't like as an actor, but love as a human being? Oh, God. I might have to give that one some thought, Marcelino. I'm trying to think of people that come on screen that I'm like, I don't want anything to do with this guy. Corey Stoll is definitely one of them. There is one other guy that I cannot remember his name off the top of my head, or like what I've seen him in, but I'm pretty sure there's another face that I'm just like, I don't really care for this dude, but he pops up all the time. I'm gonna have to think about that one, Marcelino. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can't think of one off the top of my head like that. Marcelino says, is Power Rangers non-union still? Because David Yost and Walter Jones said for the longest they couldn't come back to Power Rangers because they were unionized, but they returned. I mean, maybe because it's now under Hasbro they've become unionized, or they made exceptions to the rules like in their contracts. I think I saw or heard David Yost mention something that they went through an additional process to make sure that they were covered despite Power Rangers not having unions. So I do think that they went around or made additional contracts or something like that to accommodate them because of that. So maybe that'll be your answer to your question, because I can't think of one off the top of my head, Marcelino. If I do think of one though, I'll write it down and I'll certainly let you know about it though, for sure. All right. I think with that out of the way, that does wrap up all of our live viewer questions. But yeah, Marcelino, that tripped me out too, because I do remember coming back to my YouTube one day, like checking out the studio, my YouTube studio, and my subscriber count like significantly dropped. And I was like, what happened here? Hello, that's my cat back there. But so clearly they either dropped duplicates, or people were spamming our account, or people were never real to begin with. But yeah, so hopefully that answers your questions. It's trippy how that happens. But yeah, I have heard stories of some people being like unsubscribed to channels and them not even being aware of it until like months later. So maybe some people will certainly return, maybe they won't. But you know what? That's what we're here for, man, to continue to grow our channel. We continue to grow slowly but surely. I personally would love to hit 3,000 subscribers by the end of this year. We've got September, October, November, December. We got ourselves 4 months to do a year's work of gaining some subscribers. So look, guys, we can only get there with your continued help. Like these videos, share these videos. Feel free to go ahead and leave comments at the end of these videos, and we'll definitely continue these discussions throughout the week. But guys, I think that will wrap up this week's episode of APlus Hero Report. So again, I do apologize about all the back and forth with the disconnecting and the dropping, but I'm glad we had some great fellow hosts here and brother in arms to go ahead and carry this week's episode for us. Oh, what's up, AJ? Please refresh the live viewer question. Sent mine just now. Okay, breaking news. AJ has a live viewer question. Let's go back here. We there? Okay, I'm gonna refresh this page. Oh, there we go. Let's see. I've expressed my disappointment with Grid Connection since it came out. I feel like it could have been so much better. We know it was all because Nickelodeon's network restrictions, and the series itself was by Saban before Hasbro brought the rights to the franchise. A cool alternative would have been to have Devin, Zoe, and Robbie get their powers disconnected from the morphing grid, and Command Center tell them to borrow the Dino Thunder power from the Ranger Vault. Since we did see some of the weapons powered by Morph X. This would allow some of the Japanese footage to be used and mixed with new footage. Having them become the three main Dino Rangers would have been so cool and unique to Power Rangers. One big positive I can see about Grid Connection was the build up to the crossover itself. I definitely agree with you there. It was one of the best I've seen. They planted a lot of seeds throughout references right before the actual crossover. The actual team up wasn't great. I enjoyed the Beast Morphers Dino Charge team up episode more than Grid Connection, since it was just the Dino Charge team. It felt like a waste of Jason's return because he showed up last minute, doesn't get to interact with the new kids that long, and the episode tries to be a Devin development episode, which I think we all would have just liked a badass team up with a little fluff in between. The episode was far from bad, but I was expecting more since it was the first big crossover under Hasbro. They should have dug into the budget and got back every actor who was available and willing to from MMPR and Dino Thunder. Those empty suits just didn't make for a good team up. Still scratches my head why we were able to get Riley and Shelby's across to do their voices, but not any other Dino Thunder actors. Not even Ethan from Dino Thunder, who was always willing to return if contacted. Just have Connor and Kyra present with the use of old audio. It would have been great to at least have one physical rep from Dino Thunder. Do you disagree or agree? And what do you think if we had an actual crossover in Dino Fury instead, despite the pandemic? I do agree with some of what you're saying for sure. For me, it is a case of I personally like you, I don't think it was bad. I enjoyed the crossover, but I would say I agree with you in a sense that it definitely could have been a lot better. Certainly some missed opportunities there, but I loved every moment that I saw Jason on screen. I hadn't seen that man in such a long time. Maybe it's the nostalgia factor kind of taking over for me, really, and maybe enjoying it a lot more than I probably should have, because I definitely see the faults in it, and will agree with you. I think the lead up to it was hella impressive. I just wish that they went more new footage, original storytelling, but they clearly hadn't gotten to that particular point. Where unfortunately relying very heavily on Super Sentai still. And, had they been a part of Netflix by this time, we probably would have gotten ourselves an even better crossover event than certainly what it was. So very, very much underwhelming in that regards. And I actually don't mind it having been a Devin-centric episode. I just wish that they would have done more with the Devin and Jason stuff, if that's the route that they certainly went. I do think that there was some importance of making it a Devin-centric episode, or him being the focus, at least in regards to the arc that his character was certainly on. So I definitely didn't mind it. Mind that aspect, but based off of him being a Red Ranger leader, I definitely would have loved to have seen more of him and Jason certainly on screen together. So definitely a lot of missed opportunities. Grid Connection is far by perfect, but I enjoyed it for what it was. But I'm not gonna lie, I agree with you. I definitely wanted a lot more. So I definitely appreciate that. And do you think if we had, what do you think if we had an actual crossover in Dino Fury instead, despite the pandemic? I think that would have been just as badass. Had the pandemic certainly not happened, um, a Dino Fury crossover, I think, would have been pretty epic, just based off of how that series itself turned out. All right. But other than that, AJ, thank you so much, man, for getting that live viewer question in before we called it a good night. But thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. Hopefully, you guys certainly come back next week. We do have ourselves a brand new episode of APlus Hero Report next Sunday on the 20th. If anything, we may not have a show on the 27th in 2 weeks. Fantasy football is about to start right around the corner. I think I have like 2 drafts that day. So we may not have an episode of Hero Report 2 weeks from now, but definitely expect us to certainly be here next week. We are continuing to grow our channel here, guys. Brand new subscribers. I'm also working on other animations and content behind the scenes for you guys. We're also possibly bringing in another team member here. I've been wanting to reintroduce character breakdowns to the channels, especially for upcoming movies that we have, right? Blue Beetle, James Gunn's DCU is going to be introducing us to a lot of new characters that have not gotten the opportunity to be translated from comic books to the big screen or even TV screen. And so I have been in search of like human walking Marvel or DC encyclopedias that might be able to do bi-weekly or monthly sort of character breakdown videos, edited with images and clips and things like that, really to get you guys updated in regards to some of these particular characters, to get comfortable with them before they have their time on the big screen or small screen. So that's definitely one thing we'd like to introduce. And listen, if you guys have any ideas of what you would like to see introduced to the channel or ideas of your own, let us know your thoughts in the comments section. Email us directly if you'd like. And again, we are always looking for contributors to APlus Hero Report. If you have an idea or some experience in front of the camera, or maybe it's something audio, or maybe you're great at working with social media content, certainly reach out to us. I'm sure we can certainly go ahead and find a home for you and find a place for you to certainly fit. And so let us know as we are continuing to grow our channel, our team, and continue to push for 3K subscribers at least by the end of this year, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you very much for all your support. And again, we certainly could not be here without you guys. But other than that, guys, that's going to do it for me here. We'll certainly be back later on next week. So in the meantime, do us a big favor. As always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.